Michigan is a storied state where natural splendor and urban architecture coalesce. Today we visit 3 exquisite residences. From a moody and curated home to a southern Maximalist Colonial and a Tudor filled with vintage decor, these homes put their own spin on Michigan design. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Haneen. Welcome to our home in Michigan. Let me show you around.
Hi, I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we're now offering a membership plan that gives our supporters early and exclusive access to new videos.
Hi, Homeworthy.
I'm Roz.
You're here at my home in Los Angeles?
Come on in. I can't wait to show you around.
With this membership, we invite you to open more doors, discovering new homes, rooms, and personalities available only to those with the keys to our guest house. You'll be part of a community of people who are just as passionate as you are about interior design. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Haneen Matt, and we are in Canton, Michigan. Our home was built in 2000. It's definitely a 2000 built cookie cutter kind of home and neighborhood, and we moved in 2009. So we've been here for almost 15 years, and we've spent almost 15 years trying to make it less cookie cutter and a little bit more like us. My design style is always a little tricky to answer because I like too much, but I really just love a good juxtaposition. So I may love modern things, but I also love old stuff and bringing in pieces with history that tell a story. I like a space to feel curated over time. I love things that are rustic and more primitive, but I also love things that are a little more glam and maybe have a little bit of a sheen. I love color. I'm not afraid of mixing patterns. I love moody. I love things that feel like a warm hug. I kind of feel like after the pandemic, I was very much more drawn to earth tones and things that felt cozy since we were in our home quite a bit. So there's a lot of dark, moody colors around here, a lot of floral mixed with plaid, and every room has something vintage in it, and I love using old books. I always kind of wanted our home to feel a little bit like a fairy tale story, but not in a fussy, feminine way, just in like a storybook way. I love to read and I love books, so that's kind of mixed throughout the house, you'll see. Welcome into our entryway. One thing about this space is people are always asking what the wall color is, and it's actually not paint. It's a faux suede wallpaper. It feels really soft to touch, and it's so beautiful. It's just really like rich and chocolatey. This is vintage, and it's all a matter of highs and lows, I feel like. So this wallpaper is a bit pricey, but this is a Target lamp, so it's a good balance. And then up here on the wall going up the stairs, these are all but one is thrifted. The one with the birds is from Home Goods. Every now and then you can find a good Home Goods find. The floors are engineered hardwood, and I liked the warm color. It's like dark, but not too dark, so you don't see every little thing. But you know, light wood is very in right now, and it's so beautiful. And every now and then I'm tempted to go in that direction, but I have to remind myself that's a little more coastal, and my house is not coastal. We're in Michigan, and the whole vibe of the house is very like moody library. So this is the way to go, dark floors. Like I was saying before, I love a good mix, and I love that the edges of this table are a little worn and distressed, but then I paired it with this little brass dog that kind of reminds me of our dog, and the little brass lamp. So it's a good mix of rustic and also something that has a little bit of a sheen to it. That is a light from the line of Brian Patrick Flynn, who's a friend of mine. This is his lighting line, and I just loved how big it is. It looks awesome at night from the street. There's a little hallway to the powder room over here, and I just wanted to point out it's a little tight, but I will say I never have claimed to be a minimalist, and I tend to just stuff my house with things that make me happy. So this table is so beautiful, and this lady here, I found her at an antique fair last summer, and she has a scarf over her head. She reminded me of a siti, which is the Arabic word for grandma, and I do have relatives who wear, you know, a hijab like this, so it made me happy. It kind of cracks me up because you could see her name is Olga, so I know she's not an Arab lady, but I like to think that she is. So that's about it for this little nook. So this right here is a little gem of a powder room. This was inspired by just all the little boutique hotels that we've visited in our travels. I kind of wanted it to feel like a bathroom that you would see in a hotel or in a really fancy restaurant. I custom did this paint color. It's like a mix of two different blues. I did it in high gloss because I wanted it super dramatic. There's portraits all throughout the bathroom, and some people think it's weird. I think it's hilarious. This is Janet Hill art. They're all super fancy. I love the clothes that they're wearing. This guy reminds me of Jude Law. And this wallpaper, it just kind of had Parisian vibes. And I went on a trip to Paris in college, and I don't know, I just kind of felt like all of these people are going to a fancy party in one of these buildings. I like to put stories to each of my rooms sometimes. So again, it's all about mixing patterns. So I really love, there's a floral Roman shade with this kind of architectural wallpaper, and I thought that that was really cool. I love this more traditional faucet with the modern light and the egg-shaped mirror. It's pretty cool in here. My favorite thing about our home is that it tells our story. There's little bits in each room that mean something to us. Not just a photograph, it could be a photograph, or it could be like in this cabinet behind me, there's rocks in a bowl from my childhood backyard, or records that I stole from my in-laws, or, you know, things that we've picked up in our travels. Travel greatly influences what I do, and I just love thinking of really special memories when being in my home. So I think the best thing about our house is that it feels like ours. I'm gonna show you to our living room, so you can come this way. Welcome into our formal living room. This is one of my favorite places in the whole house because it really has a lot of our treasures in here. First of all, again, with the books, this is an old antique set that I found, and I just thought it would look really cool under this cloche. This wall treatment, I believe these arches are meant to go, they're prefabricated. I just got them from Home Depot, and I believe they're supposed to go over doorways or over windows. And we did this over the pandemic. This was like our I'm bored project. So my husband helped me to install this. I just wanted something unique. So we did this, and we painted the whole room black, and I'm able to get away with it because this is the brightest room in the house. It has so much sunlight. More recently, we added these beams that I stained that's darker wood color to match the floors. And then this is what I like to call our Harry Potter light. So many people say it's Harry Potter vibes, and that brings me so much joy because I love Harry Potter. It's just very cozy in here. This cabinet is filled with so many treasures. As far as making your home your own, this is what I'm talking about. There's some things in here that just make me happy. This little bowl is filled with rocks from our childhood backyard. These are records from my in-laws. This car, you may very well think it's meant for like a child's room, but when I saw it, I kind of thought it was like an ode to my husband's automotive career. He's worked in the automotive industry for over 25 years. So I just liked that it was wood. I liked the look of it, and I liked that it had a little meaning to it as well. These are some of my kids. In the office where we have the book covers on the ceiling, a lot of people were mad when I tore out the pages, but nothing got thrown away. I actually used them throughout the house decoratively as like a backdrop in some cabinets. So these are all of the interior pages to those book covers. This is a poetry book from a class I took in college. And my husband, when we were dating, he wrote me a little note on one of the pages. I went to the University of Toledo, and one of my art history professors actually published this little book. And I'm in the acknowledgments because he kind of gave credit to people that were in the class because we did a lot of research for him for this book. So this is just a little keepsake. This is a vintage trunk. As far as all of this pottery goes, I just want to say that when you have a collection of things, it could look very cluttered if it's spread out throughout the house or throughout a room. But if you put them together like this, I think it makes a much better statement, and it's just so beautiful and collected all up there. Everyone loves the pottery up there. As far as this goes, again, with the book backdrop, this little guy, I found him from an online antique dealer, and I thought it was really cool, and then it arrived, and I kind of thought it looked a little spooky. Kind of reminds me of like Halloween time. I feel like I should use it for Halloween decor, probably because it's the color of skin, so it looks like a real hand, but that's okay. I don't mind creepy. I think it kind of, I think every home should have a little bit of a sense of humor, so I'm okay with creepy now and then. This is my husband and I in Napa. This is a vintage chess set. This painting back here is actually this room, and a follower actually painted that for me and sent it to me, which I thought was amazing. Very cool. This I just got recently. This is, I did some research, and apparently it's a old carriage lamp, which I find fascinating. I love equestrian stuff. I love, horses, and if this was from a horse-drawn carriage, I would just be thrilled. I don't know 100%, but you can see on the back where it's screwed on. I don't know if it's to a vehicle or to an actual carriage, but anyway, it does actually light up and plug in, but I didn't want to deal with the cord at this time, so I actually just have candles lit inside. I just think it's so beautiful, and it looks really good against the black walls. This is a lectern. I believe it's meant maybe for music sheets. I like using things in unconventional ways, and I also really love displaying books in all sorts of ways. So I just basically opened up this book to a page I thought was beautiful, and now it's on display. This is a William Morris plaid. These are custom-made drapes. I thought the color was gorgeous. And these are actually new chairs. These are from McGee & Co. And I just thought the arm was so beautiful. It has such a beautiful silhouette, a gorgeous profile when you look into the room, and that's the shape of the chair that you see. We have yet another bust in the house. My kids may laugh at me because it's a lot of just weird people. But again, it reminds me of a museum, and that makes me happy. And I feel like it's all about balance. So this may seem fussy, but I have it on this rustic table that I've had for years. And it's also, like I said, all about high and low. This is actually a really inexpensive find. I found him for under 50 bucks. But this coffee table book is so beautiful, and it's like 4 times the cost of this guy. But so worth it. It's a book about libraries around the world, and I just love when we travel. I love to find bookstores to go to or libraries to visit, and I had just read The Personal Librarian, and in September I was in New York City for an event with Better Homes and Gardens, so I visited the library that book was about, and that's in this coffee table book. So that makes me happy. This is a Jake Arnold rug from Lulu in Georgia. It's one of the most comfortable rugs in the house. I love the copper color of it. And then this little gallery wall, again, I'm not a minimalist, and I love taking advantage of small nooks and crannies in the house, and that includes skinny walls. And it also means not necessarily hanging art at eye level. I thought I would take the chance and just fill this from Florida, pretty much ceiling. This I found in an estate sale. This is thrifted. This is Lulu in Georgia, and it reminded me of our trip to Italy. And this is by a local artist. I found it at the Ann Arbor Art Fair, and I'm kicking myself because I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. I want to give him a shout out. But yeah. Oh, and this is like a little thrifted needlepoint stool. And again, in regards to balance, this looks kind of old school, right? And I love that this table is super modern. It's triangular in shape. It's like a red marble. It's something special. When we first looked at the house, I mean, this was like 15 years ago, and I have always been a visual person, and it's always been easy for me to visualize things that I want. I will also say that I was a mom of 4 kids, so at the time, I wasn't necessarily thinking about ways to decorate. When I first got to college, I was really interested in drawing and painting, and I was really interested in fashion, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, so I then started leaning into photography. That was actually my concentration, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna work for a fashion magazine. You know, you have these big, grand dreams when you're 18, 20. So we got married, we moved into, well, this is actually our second home, but we started having kids, and my love of fashion very quickly turned into a love of interior design because I stayed home raising my kids, and I thought, if I'm gonna be home with my kids, I better love what I'm looking at. So moving into this house and being home raising my kids, it was like, I realized very quickly that designing a space can make you feel something when you walk into it. And I loved making spaces feel good to me because I was home with my kids, and I wanted it to be a livable, comfortable, beautiful space for my kids. So I think it just came with time, I guess. Now I'm going to take you into our dining room. This room is super cozy. Okay, where can I start? This lady, her name is Sophia. I was really drawn to her, just subtle touches of olive. I thought it looked beautiful with the wallpaper and the walls. This is Mediterranean olive. It's a Benjamin Moore color. Some people think she looks a little solemn, but I like that. I feel like she's kind of looking over us. Such a weird thing to say, but I like her, and I like, sometimes I would suggest that you leave your art just kind of leaning on the floor. For me, one excuse was that I just haven't gotten around to finding the perfect spot yet, but honestly, I find that art leaning against the wall on the floor just lends itself to feeling a little more casual and a little less stuffy. So we have an old family portrait, we have some antique pieces that we found in Italy, and these are just some other pieces of art that I've collected over time. I do find that I like a good mix of chairs around a dining room. So we have some upholstered armchairs, and then we also have these leather ones, and then of course I love throwing on a plaid throw over the back. As every room in my house, I'm really drawn to modern lighting. I think when things get to feel too antique-y, it's good to kind of throw in some really modern elements. I think this light is so cool. This is a rattan light from our house, and I think it just kind of balances the space just right. This bowl is ginormous and very heavy, and I currently just have it filled with an old encyclopedia set. I just thought the gold paper, the gold lining was really beautiful. So that's that. I don't know. Oh, I painted the ceiling black. This is the same color as this room over here. So I like to have things connected. There's a lot of olives, blacks, browns, and a little bit of maybe some like rust cinnamony colors. So this is Jet Black by Benjamin Moore, same color as in there. And I just kind of wanted this room to kind of feel like it's closing in on you in a really good way. It's like a little bit of a hug. This wallpaper has a little bit of a sheen to it, which is really beautiful. And I like that it's leafy, but there's also, I don't know if you could see, there's also little keys, which I thought was pretty cool. So this is a really oversized mirror, and I love the placement of it across from the window. It really reflects a lot of light, which is always great. And I was gonna show you this piece. This was a $50 thrifted find. It's super heavy, and I painted it the same color as the walls so that it just kind of continues and blends right in. And then again with the books, I like using them in different ways throughout the house. In this case, it was to raise the lamps up a little bit. And I don't know, these are just random little thrifted finds. He's got a pipe in his mouth, kind of reminded me of my uncle. This is another way, when I talked about adding modern lighting to rooms that are feeling a little stuffy, this is another way to do that, is to add really contemporary art. So I loved this black abstract. I found it to be really stark and handsome next to more of a feminine kind of wallpaper. But it doesn't last long. Then of course I throw in this like Victorian lady and this random mirror. So it starts getting fussy all over again, but that's okay. I like a good mix. That's the theme. And then also this over here, this is my dad's old army trunk, and I just thought it looked really cool in here. I love a good black and gold combo. Well, as far as hosting goes, we do really love to have people over. I think for the dining room, we're one of those people where we do use it on fancier occasions. Like we hosted Thanksgiving this year, and we had this gorgeous floral arrangement from Flora Detroit, and the table settings, I definitely went all out. Or even the other day, my daughter had some friends over for Galentine's, and this had a red tablecloth over it with like all the Valentine's Day type of shebangs. But at the same time, really, it's for everyday use. We don't eat here, but we use it all the time for puzzles, for Lego sets, for all the things kid related. You don't see a lot of toys around here, but my youngest is 10. So really, most of my kids are older, and it's not, we're not in the toys scattered around the house phase, but we are still in the use the dining room for all things kid related phase, which I love. I do want to point out in regards to the rug that it's just a simple check pattern, and I love mixing florals with more of a geometric. So with the wallpaper being more of a floral, I loved a good geometric check on the floor. So it's a good balance. I've always loved florals and plaids. It's like the masculine and feminine way to mix things around here. So next up, I'm going to take you to our kitchen. As far as renovations go, our kitchen was a big one. That was definitely, it screamed 2000. It had the dark cherry cabinets and the black granite. Basically, even though I love dark moody colors, I've always wanted kind of a lighter, brighter kitchen. So we replaced the counters, we put in quartz and a waterfall island. We painted the lower cabinets tricorn black by Sherwin-Williams and the uppers Simply White by Benjamin Moore. We added beams just to give it a little bit of charm and a little bit of character. And then we put all new floors throughout the house, hardwood floors, and a new backsplash. And also we moved the microwave from the typical builder grade above the stove location, and we put in a range hood. Welcome into our kitchen. This was the space that had the dark cherry cabinets and the black granite back in the day, and we kept the bones of the kitchen, and we really just repainted the cabinetry and got new countertops and this waterfall island and this sink and faucet and the backsplash and the lighting and all that jazz. We added in the beams a little bit later. I just think beams add so much character. Again, with the books, I will say this, if we were doing it from scratch, obviously we would take the cabinets to the ceiling. But because we were trying to save money and we did not, gut the whole thing and start from scratch, I thought, back in the day, people could put tchotchkes on top of their cabinets. I wasn't going to do that, obviously. So I think books are lovely. They're charming. People talk about it getting dusty. I mean, who cares? How often are you going up there? Am I grabbing those books to read? No. But that's okay. They look nice. They're charming. And they add a little bit of character and they take up some space over the cabinet. So it's just a way of dealing with a thing that you don't necessarily love about your kitchen. Again, with another lady, I thought she was really pretty. I found her at a vintage shop in Grand Rapids, Michigan, along with this painting. This little grinder thing I stole from my mom. I tend to go to my parents or my in-laws and take things. This is vintage. Everyone thinks it's crazy to put something over the stove. I will say, first of all, I'm not a big cook, but also it's not really, I don't know, it's just been fine. I just was going to show you this frame. It's got this like rusty orange color velvet, and that's a picture of us from Italy. And then also, I was just going to share to not necessarily always frame the photos that are picture perfect and posed. This is a selfie that we took on my daughter's high school graduation day, and my husband's face is half cut off and so is my son's, but I just remember being so happy that day. So it's framed and by the sink. This is an oversized light fixture. I love that it's modern and more of a charming traditional kitchen, and I love these dome lights. I will say, I will never ever have lights that match anywhere in our home. There were dome lights that I loved for over the table, but because I picked out dome lights for the island, I wanted something different for over the table. So nothing matches in our house. That's like my only rule, and I don't like rules. I really don't follow any rules, but that's why it's a rule, because I don't want it to match. These, again, I love a good check or plaid, and I thought it was really fun mixed with this diamond check flooring or rug. Our dog bowl is made out of the same material as our countertops, and they made it to match the waterfall island, which I thought was kind of cute. And then over here, so this is the open shelving. At Christmas time, I had these filled with like metal gingerbread houses. It was super cute, and I that was the last thing I removed because it worked throughout the winter. I kept it for a long time. But so now we're back to just decorative items. Again, this is us in Venice. All browns, oranges. This wallpaper is really beautiful. I have a theme of like trees. I feel like there's a lot of trees or like leafy things in our home. Again, it just makes me think of a storybook. This is just vintage glassware that I thrifted. I loved the color of it. It's a really pretty amber glass. And again, because these are more rustic shelves, I like having some shiny things here and there. This is a book. We went into the most charming bookstore in Florence, and I just thought this was so beautiful. I just love that scene, and it's from 18 something. I can't remember, but it's way old and it's super beautiful, and it just brings back happy memories. So this plate, I thrifted this, and it said Burns Cottage. I believe it's in Scotland. This is the birthplace of the guy who wrote the Auld Lang Syne song for New Year's Eve. That's his house. I thought that was really cool. And it's a pretty olive color. So anything that's olive, I'll take. I like green. So this is our another powder room on the first floor. We had leftover beams, so I had our contractor add beams. And this light does not work. I really just added it for decorative purposes. I was really inspired after our trip to Europe, so I wanted it to kind of have a European feel. These are just equestrian prints I found on Etsy. I always frame art most of the time without the glass, just so that there's no reflection. And I just thought these were so beautiful. We went horseback riding in Florence, so horses remind me of that. This is an interesting little tidbit. So this is a shadow box with this thrifted used paintbrush. Nothing too symbolic other than the fact that it was kind of like an ode to my art degree. I thought that was kind of cool. I think with having 4 kids and a dog especially, it can be tricky keeping a place well maintained, and you want it to be, you know, pristine and beautiful, but you also want your kids to feel like they can sit and actually live in their homes. So I would say, well, first of all, I think it helps that my kids are older now. It didn't always look like this when they were younger, but I think that it's doable no matter what age. Obviously, you need things that are a little more kid-friendly. Very comfortable fabrics, practical fabrics. Our sectional is Krypton, it's essentially indestructible. But also, I'm not afraid of things getting messed up. I feel like that kind of adds to the charm. Like our dining room is showing wear and tear, but with every spill or what are those things? Those iron-on beads that the kids do. They've left some residue, and it's just, you know, I look at it and I smile. I think of the memory of that. So off of our breakfast nook is this sliding door leads to our back porch, which I'll take you to. I actually just painted this window black. So now we are on our back patio. We use this for entertaining. The kids we've had a luau birthday party back here. We've carved pumpkins out here for a Halloween party. And just anytime we have a get together, we always end up out here. I like the string lights, and again, there's some thrifted art and some comfy pillows. And we love having a screened in porch because we back to woods. So in the summer, we just have a lot of bugs. So this is a really nice place to be outside and get some fresh air without being all the way outside. And we just love entertaining out here. It's nice to just sit around, have a drink, have some food, and just have fun with family and friends. So the amount of time we get to spend out here is a little limited based on being in Michigan. We have really long winters, and even the spring, it takes a while to get nice and warm out here. But we do enjoy it to the fullest in the summer months, and also the fall. Honestly, the fall is my favorite. All of these trees get super colorful, so I love being out here in the fall time. Okay, so it's a little chilly, so we're gonna go inside and I'll show you our family room. So now we are into the family room just off of the kitchen. This is the place that we spend the most time, the place we watch TV and hang out. Here's a nice gallery wall of my fam. And I love this fluted lamp shade. That's really beautiful. This is a super large and super comfortable sectional. This is from Universal Furniture. It's really modern in shape. It has a really wide back, and it's made that way so that people can actually like sit on the back of the couch too. We had people over for the Super Bowl, and there was a ton of people also on the back of the couch watching the screen. I do like pairing it though with this antique quilt on the back. I washed it after I got it. I for sure washed it because it's so old, but it's so beautiful. I love the colors in it, and I love that it's velvet. So I think it just warms up the space, especially since the shape of the sectional is so modern. This is the Hattie console from our house. I love the arch shapes. I will say arches are such a trend right now, and it works for us in our house because homes built in the 2000s use a lot of arches. So there's a big arch window over our front door. So I kind of added arches throughout the house as well, this being one place. I have a thing for pears. I found this digital art on Etsy and loaded it onto the TV to look like art on the wall. And then these little guys are from a local shop called Haven in downtown Plymouth. I actually got them for Christmas time, but I think they look good all year long. So I have them in a little bowl right here. And then this is a vintage print of a spot in Rome that we just visited. So that's why that's in there. On this side of the room, we have, again, with the play on the arches, I found these gorgeous arch bookcases. Love filling it with treasures. This is a random, I like finding little dollhouse furniture and putting it under cloches. I feel like every room needs a little touch of whimsy, a little touch of humor. So there's that. And then this fireplace, I'm not a huge fan of corner fireplaces, but we are working with what we've got. I tried to make it make sense we painted it the tricorn black, and then we found these wood slats that come in sheets. So we also had this black also, so it like reads as one large black wall. Again, I'm not a huge fan of accent walls, but I feel like I was just making do with what I had. Ideally, I would love to move this fireplace to the center of the room. And then it would be a double fireplace with the office on the other side, which would be amazing. I do want to talk to you about this fireplace screen. I found this in Nashville at an antique store. It's a tapestry. It's amazing. I love the wood detail. And the funny thing about this was we were going to Nashville for a friend's birthday, and our flight was canceled because the snow in Michigan was crazy that morning, and we ended up driving. And if we didn't end up driving, I would not have been able to bring this home. So that kind of worked out in my favor. And I think, and then also, I just recently put these battery-operated sconces up, and I ordered brown plaid shades for them. They're just not in yet, but that'll be way more charming than just a solid white shade. We do not know this man. I bought him around Christmas time, and he kind of reminded me of Santa Claus. But again, it's just one of those things that works all year round. It's an original. I found him at a vintage shop, and I thought the colors were beautiful. The frame was really nice, and the browns and the yellows. I tend to be drawn to fall colors, so he works. Santa Claus all year round. I feel like the way to make a builder grade home a little more your own, first of all, I feel like color goes a long way. People are afraid of paint and wallpaper for some reason. I hate when people talk about resale value. You're living in your home, whether it's for a month or 10 years, make it the way you want, and who cares what the future homeowners are gonna think about it. So we used a lot of paint, we used wallpaper, even a lot of architectural interests like adding beams or moldings, or also I just feel like adding history to any room is gonna make it feel very curated and collected. I have an art degree, and the college that I went to was the University of Toledo. It's about an hour south. And the art classes were attached to the Toledo Museum of Art. So I had immediate access to this museum all the time, and it was like my happy place. So for me, I feel like some people may walk in and think our house kind of looks like a museum. I have a lot of statues and a lot of art everywhere. But for me, I feel like it's all about balance, and having a home that looks like a museum does feel like home to me. And if you balance it with less fussy things, it feels really livable and just like a beautiful work of art that you live in. The way that I would say that we keep this very open floor plan flowing, so that each room looks good together but is also its own separate entity, its own personality. I feel like every room in a house is a different chapter of the same book. So even though they look different, they should all speak to each other, if that makes sense. So my best advice would be to use a certain color palette. So I'm not saying paint everything the same color. I'm not a big fan of just an all white house or an all whatever house, but colors that look good together. So for me, I'm really drawn to autumnal colors. My oldest daughter's name is Autumn because I love autumn so much. But browns, rusty oranges, olive greens, blacks, all of that kind of looks good together. So I kind of thread these colors throughout all the rooms so that even though it's open, everything kind of looks good together. And also I think it's important to add little transitions that warm up the space. Like this is a random little corbel. I actually found this on Target online and I loved the rusticity of it and the color was beautiful. And it's just a little spot for, you know, transitioning from the kitchen to the family room. So we're currently in the family room and right around the corner is our home office if you'd like to take a look. This is our home office, which you can imagine over the pandemic we used quite a bit and still do just to lounge in. It's such a special room. I love this brown plaid wallpaper. This is from Thibault. And if you draw your attention to the ceiling, this room, the ceiling is covered with vintage black books that I scoured the area for. I had a ton just because I've always collected black books and I thought I had plenty for the ceiling, and once I got started I realized I definitely do not have enough. So I looked at just a bunch of Salvation Armies and thrift stores, and I tore out the inner pages, but nothing got thrown away. I've used it throughout the house, the inside pages, but the ceiling I used command strips because the covers themselves are super lightweight, so it's not going anywhere. And it's really cool. It's layered. It just brings a fun texture to the space. I don't even know how it came to my head, to be honest with you. I love decorating with books and I love reading, and I thought, oh, you're looking for something fun to do. Why don't you cover the ceiling with book covers? I don't know. My brain is a little weird sometimes. So that's where it went. I had no reference photo. I just kind of went with it. Initially, I was using a nail gun to see if I needed to nail them in, and people thought I was nuts because I was just going to put a million holes in my wall. Again, I'm not afraid to put holes in my wall, so that wasn't a big deal, but it just wasn't working the best, and so I kind of toyed around with different things, and the command strips ended up being the best bet. So it's pretty cool. I would just say one thing I should have done first was paint the ceiling black, so that if there are any little crevices where you could see through, you wouldn't be seeing a white ceiling, you'd just be seeing the black paint and it would all mix through. So that's my only regret. Otherwise, no regrets. I love it. Well, the gallery wall, if you haven't noticed, I just really love a moody vibe, right? So clouds, rainy days, it's a mood, right? So I found all of these prints online. This is from Minted, and you can customize the colors because it actually came it's a vibrant piece with bright purple sky and a bright lime green grass. So I emailed the artist and said, this is the color of my couch. I want the grass more of an olive and the sky more of a dark brown, and they customized it and it looks amazing. And you know, the best place to read and the best time to read is on a rainy day. So I just felt like this really set the tone for just a good place to pick up a book. This is another, you know, ode to a bust, and these are antique furniture books that I found in Ann Arbor. So love those, love her. Oh, this light, again, with a really modern light in a more traditional space. This light is from Anthropology. I love the shape of it. I thought it was really cool. And then my son takes his piano lessons here, and I found this photograph from the Ann Arbor Art Fair last summer. So that is here. And then also this really cool modern lamp. I like it, again, because it's modern. I just really like modern lighting. I tend to be drawn to really traditional, old school things, but when it comes to lights, I like them really, really cool. This room was really inspired by Ralph Lauren's menswear line. Like I said, back in the day, I was really into fashion, and this is Ralph Lauren's book. And again, I love displaying books in unique ways, and so I just opened it up to a page that had some really fabulous women's wear, but there's also like menswear in here, and every now and then I just switch which page it's on. But yeah, and then there's a little brass hand bookmark. We really just use this cabinet for the TV, but I do love that we have a Lions Lego helmet set because we love our Lions in this house, and they should have gone to the Super Bowl. And then also a family photo, and this little guy I found on Etsy. It's a little cloud, and I thought it looked cool with the cloud paintings. Right? Isn't that fun? That's that. Oh, and this, I just want to also say, this is a hand-blown Mark Wagar vase. My husband and I split the cost of this when we were dating in college from the Ann Arbor Art Fair. I just think it's so cute to remember because we were dating and we were college students, so clearly we weren't like rolling in the dough, but he knew it meant a lot to me, so we split it, and it has lasted through 4 kids and almost 25 years. I'm like waiting for something bad to happen to it, but it's been good. We're good. So that's all that's in there. I would love to show you the rest of the house, so let's head upstairs. So now we are in the laundry room, and the whole goal with this was to completely color drench it in yellow. It was a bit of a risk, but I've always wanted to do this. In college, there was an artist, Sandy Skoglund, who came to the Toledo Museum of Art, and she was a mixed media installation artist who did these incredible rooms that were all one color. And then she'd have these crazy things going on in it. But the whole idea was that the rooms were drenched in all one color, and I always was kind of fascinated by that. So we did the floral wallpaper, and again, I mixed it with more of a geometric, like a stripe on the ceiling. I love finding ways to do something to the ceiling, so I thought this wallpaper was great with the floral. And then we changed the countertops. This is a Pharaoh ball color, and I forget the name of it. These are MTech hardware. My husband built this shelf to go over the washer and dryer, which has been amazing. And then little tip for you, you can cover outlets, cover outlets with a piece of art. I bought this from somebody outside of a museum in Florence. And then also a little tip for you. This is a thrifted pot, and I keep the, the Dreft pellets in there for the laundry. It smells so good. And then also I have the dryer sheets in this little wicker basket. So just find ways to make functionality more beautiful. You don't have to have a bright orange Tide container sitting out, or the bounce dryer sheets. You can put it in really pretty containers, and then it looks really lovely. And then on this side, I just used museum putty to adhere this art to the wall. I love this little pop of olive green in here. This is a velvet mat, and if you can see, she's carrying a basket of laundry over her head. So I actually found that art prior to even doing the laundry room. So I was so excited that it works in here. So I stole this from my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law. They had this in their basement, and I just repainted it the same color as the rest of the room. And then I had this woman, it's a digital print I got online, and her yellow dress just looked so beautiful in here. So it works in here. So this is our primary bedroom. It's a really lovely space with tall vaulted ceilings, which I love. It drives some people crazy that the bed isn't centered under the vaulted ceiling, but what they often don't see online is that that's because there's a door right here that leads to the bathroom. So didn't really have a choice there, but worked with what we had. Did 2 mirrors on either side over the nightstands. I love these pillows with the horses on them. That's a thrifted piece of art. And a little way to add some character over here, we had a mural installed, which I really love. And then this piece, I love the distress of it all, and it's really beautiful. And All of the book covers that are on the ceiling in the office, these are the interior pages. I use it as backdrop in cabinets, so it works. And that's pretty much that. One thing about the canopy bed, with it being really a modern and sleek frame, with it being brass and the velvet headboard, I ended up going with a more traditional ceiling fixture, which typically I tend to go more modern with my lighting, but because the bed was super modern, I went a different route. Same thing with the lamps. The bases I found online at Home Depot, but I actually found the shades from Ballard Design. I thought the texture was really warm and inviting, and it kind of reminded me of like a European cottage. And I always like to feel, if I'm not traveling, I like to feel like I'm traveling somewhere else. So just to have it feel like a far off place was really cool to me. So, and then the mirrors, again, with the arches, I like to bring in arches where I can so that the architecture of the house makes sense. So now I'm going to take you into our primary bathroom. Okay, so let's talk about the primary bathroom for a minute. This is the room I was telling you that was in some publications, and that's always really exciting. I'm really proud of it because we really took it all the way down and rebuilt it. And by we, I mean our contractor, but I came up with the design. So for starters, this wall back here was actually inspired by a 19th century wall molding that I saw on eBay, and I almost actually bought the wall molding that I found and had it delivered, and then my contractor said he can recreate it, which would be way easier. So what we did was I came up with the idea of using corbels facing each other to create the arch. He just ended up having to kind of extend it a little bit so it didn't come to a point. It ended up being more of an archway. And then he added a little bit of a lip so that I can have candles or artwork. I found this tapestry on eBay, and it really reminded me of that scene in Beauty and the Beast where she's twirling around reading and singing. I love it. Again, with the bust guy. This book, it's called The Ultimate Bath. It's from Barbara Salick, who owns Waterworks, and our bathroom is actually in this book. It's at the table of contents, which is pretty awesome. This pedestal is vintage. Found it on eBay. I loved that it was lucite. I just thought it was really funky and cool, and a good juxtaposition with a more classic bust. And then this clawfoot tub is so fabulous. It's a dreamy tub. When this was featured in Better Homes and Gardens, the writer said that this space was like a living room, but instead of a sofa, it had a fabulous clawfoot tub, which I loved that. It does feel like a living space, but with a clawfoot tub in it. And I really thought this light was pretty cool. That's from Shades of Light. One thing that we did was there was a door here to the water closet, and we took it out and did a sliding door instead because it just saved space. And then I painted this and the closet the same color. This is Palm Leaf by Sherwin-Williams. And then what I love is there's a little surprise of the wallpaper in here because I kept it very simple and classic with just white. But in here, I wanted it to be a little bit of a little jewel box. And again, because it's like handwritten script, it almost looks like a diary or a storybook, in keeping with the theme of kind of like each room feeling like a storybook. So that's this. Even this, the ladder, even that has an arch shape. I wanted it to speak to the arches on the wall. These are 19th century doors I found on eBay. There were 2 doorknobs. I promise there's a reason why we had to take it off. It's a long story, but we put it on a slider here, and then this leads to our closet. I just thought these were so cool. Again, the arch was really cool. It was actually a blue door, and we had it stripped, and then I painted it the same color as the water closet door. But again, something old paired with something really new and beautiful like these knobs, I thought was really special. And then again, a little arch in that artwork and more statues. These are custom Roman shades. Again, a little play on a check kind of pattern with more of a floral type of traditional rug. I just was gonna say, we also added the same beams that we put in our kitchen, we added up here. It matches the flooring that we put in here, which is a tile that looks like wood. I love wood with black, so I liked that combo. This is a vintage ashtray that I cleared off and I use it to hold Q-tips. So I just like using things in unconventional ways. And this came from France. I ordered this off of eBay. I just thought the colors were gorgeous. I would say our biggest renovation was our primary bathroom. The kitchen was something where it was just kind of cosmetic changes, whereas the bathroom, we gutted it and took it to the studs. Not ourselves. We're not exactly DIYers. But we took it to the studs, and the bathroom had a corner tub and, you know, the shell lights from the late 90s, early 2000s. So we got a clawfoot tub and 2 vanities on the other wall, and I'm really proud of that space. That space has been in Better Homes and Gardens, it's been online on Architectural Digest, it's been in a coffee table book, and it's just super special. I think the thing that makes a home come alive is things with history and things that tell your story. So I love going thrifting. I love special pieces that aren't necessarily in everyone's home, that you can't get at Target. Is not old. So I want to bring history in so that it feels like it's been here for a while. So I just think older pieces, especially books, I just love filling a space with books, and I use them in all sorts of ways, whether it's under lamps to elevate them, or I have DIY'd a ceiling in our office of all book covers on the ceiling, which many people thought I was a little crazy for, but I think it's beautiful and it's great to read in there on a rainy day. I love the vibe in there. So basically bringing in history and making sure your home tells your story is what gives it soul. Home to me is a place where you feel safe and loved, and you're with your favorite people, and it's just where you come home at the end of the day and feel your best and your most supported, and where you have fun and you laugh a lot. That's home.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Gail. Welcome to my home in Michigan.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Thank you to Serena and Lily for sponsoring today's episode.
Hi, I'm Gail Disner. I'm a content creator and I live here in a suburb of Metro Detroit. So I ended up in my home in a very non-traditional manner. I moved across the country in 2019. I lived in Arizona and I moved my family with 2 kids under 2, and we could not find a house anywhere. And so we found a rental house and I fell in love with the neighborhood. And so I would just drive around looking at all the houses saying, oh, they're packing up. They must be moving. Maybe that house is for sale. And Luckily, we were the very first people to come in, and we had a very aggressive offer. We had crazy terms, and this was before the market went crazy. And luckily, we were able to get it with zero contingencies, a one-day inspection, and kind of at that time agreed to crazy terms to get the house. It was in really rough shape, but I could just see the potential of the house, and when I saw it, I knew it had to be mine. So we moved in the summer of 2019. So our home was built in the 1930s. It's a 1936 Colonial with fieldstone front and brick and siding. Many people think that the different layers of our home and how there's different material, that maybe there was additions done. That was very common where people do additions, and expand over the years. But actually the basement matches this exact floor plan. And so all of the house as it sits was original, and it actually sits on 1.5 lots, which is very rare for the neighborhood. So I was having a really hard time describing what my style was. I would say it's kind of like this or it's kind of like that. And I said, I'm gonna make up my own term. We're gonna finally figure this out. And so I coined the term Maximalist, and that is a Southern traditional maximalist. Maximalist. And so I have a lot of Southern influence, being from the South, lots of traditional design elements, pleated drapes, lots of wallpaper, lots of molding, and maximalist because I think a home should be layered with lots of layers and texture, and I'm definitely no minimalist. So that's a little bit about my style, and you'll see that as we go through. Lots of intentionality in layering, textures and colors, etc. Welcome to my vestibule. I actually did a lot of work in here. We have lower paneling, and so we did the raised panel millwork in here, which is really beautiful. Eventually I'll add wallpaper, and then I found this beautiful piece at an estate sale. I've been looking for a big statement piece right when you walk in. So the vestibule, right when you come in the front door, this is what greets you. And so I really wanted a big statement piece here, and I definitely found it. And then also, this is one of my favorite things about the house, all of the arches. And so we have an arched door, which is amazing right when you walk in. And then this was flagstone. It's very casual all throughout the house. We had lower paneling and lots of areas with big flagstone with green and red. And so this, we did the checkerboard, white and gray marble, the Bardiglio, and it turned out really nice. So both of these pieces are very random. I decided early on that I wanted to mix in modern art. Very traditional, I have very traditional style, but if I feel like it can feel too old and stagnant and a little bit like memories of visiting grandma's house. And so I really wanted to bring in some fresh modern art. And so I found this piece and I had to have it. And then this piece, believe it or not, it was a home goods find. It's been discontinued. I have so many people ask me about this piece. I got that. It was actually in my son's nursery back when we lived in Arizona. And it was just such a statement piece. I wanted to put it in here. I joke that my very first home, I didn't know what to do. And I only shopped at big box stores. And that was a huge mistake, to not buy custom and to not shop at, secondhand and thrift stores and estate sales. So less now, but I love home goods. Some of my favorite pieces in my house are home goods, like this piece and the mirrored console in the living room. So I love home goods, but I am more of a secondhand estate sale shopper now. So I'm a content creator, and I started the brand The Southern Gale when we moved into the house in 2019. I was just kind of documenting it more for fun. I didn't think of it as a business or a job. I just wanted to document what I was doing to the house, and I thought it would be fun. I'd seen other people do similar things on Instagram, and so I wanted to give it a try. And then as the years went, I gained more and more followers, and businesses started to reach out, and I said, okay, hold on. I think this is more. I think it can be more. And so now it is my full-time job. It is definitely a business. I am very lucky to get to work with some amazing brands to partner with projects throughout my home and lifestyle brands. And it's really grown into something unexpected. I'm a very big storyteller, and so I love getting on stories daily with my followers and sharing an estate sale find, or sharing what project I'm working on, or thinking out to planning for the next project in advance, or with my safety glasses and my gloves on, tiling and talking about mortar consistency. And so taking them along for the ride is really fun. And then it becoming a business was really unexpected. So last year was really my first full year being a full-time content creator, and it's been a lot of fun. So now let me take you to the main hallway. This was a huge selling point in the house. I mean, look at these hallways. Look at how wide they are. You don't get wide hallways in homes. I felt like this was just such a statement. And this is really, other than the dining room and the kitchen, truly this is the center of the home. Our main staircase comes from here. The back staircase comes from here. When you enter, you come from here. The powder room. So this main hallway gets so much traction. And so we actually did a couple of things to stay true to the house, but to just, level it up a little bit more. So we added, this was the original molding down here. It was very casual. This was all through the home. And we did leave it in some places. And so we just wanted to add to it. And so we added these box molding, and we did the flex. So we matched the arch. So we did the flex molding all the way around, and then also added the crown molding. And then we added these beautiful hand-painted wallpaper panels. They're a pair, and they're just lovely. And each one is unique. They're hand-painted. So I mounted them and then had them framed with this bamboo frames, and they flank the main arch here in the main hallway. And I love this hallway. So this came as a set. It's a cute little bench with 2 chairs. I have 1 chair on one side and then 1 chair in another room. I'll probably eventually get these recovered in like a blue or a green. It's just a Facebook Marketplace find. And then he is the star. He's one of the stars of the show. One of the local churches has a garage sale, and they have this room of all the fancy stuff. And so they have one room that's all the nicer fancy stuff, and he was in the fancy room. And he was really affordable, like $20 affordable. And then I got this beautiful marble stand at an estate sale. And so I love how the secondhand finds have added, a bit more layers and a bit more refinement to the space. When I moved to Michigan, I started shopping secondhand and going to estate sales. It is a rush. When you look online and you see something that you like, and so I'm very well researched. I will research all of the pictures. I'll look at all of the pictures. I start looking on Wednesday or Thursday every week. I scout out what estate sales are coming up for the weekend. And if I don't like any, I won't go. So I always research ahead of time. I have a system that I use. If it's a really, really good sale, let's say it's a 3-day sale, I go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I try to be the first one in on Friday. I try to be the last one in on Saturday, and then I try to be the first one in on Sunday. I have a bid system that I use, a percentage off of each item if I really want the item, but it's like a little bit overpriced. It is a thrill. And so when you see a picture online of something that you love and you can't wait, the piece in my entryway that I showed you, that was one of the pieces. I saw it online at an estate sale, and I was driving there and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope it's there. I hope it's there. And then I went in and my heart was literally racing, and it was just right there, and no one had taken it. And I wasn't the first one there. And I just grabbed the tag and I was like, I got it. And it's just the thrill and the excitement that it brings when you get an item, not only at a great price, but this one of a kind. You'll never be able to buy that item. You can't go to a store and buy that item. It's just, it's thrilling. Like I said, this is the center of the home. So the front door, the powder room, our main staircase, which another thing that I really love about the house is a lot of basements are very closed. It's behind a door and you're like, oh, the creepy dark basement. But here it's an open staircase that just wraps around. So we have kind of this double staircase that goes down. I did the animal print from Stark Carpet on the stairs, and funny story, we have 5 staircases in our house. We have 2 up, 2 down, and then 1 to the attic. And so the animal print runner is on 3 of the staircases in the house. 1 going up here, 1 going down, and then for line of sight, this is the back staircase. When the home was built, they had a maid and a butler, and so that is the maid and butler's corners, which makes it really nice for guests because now I am the maid and the butler. But for guests, when my parents come or when friends come in for football games, they can have their own little private area and private staircase that leads to the kitchen. So when we came to look at the house, I joked that I must have been wearing rose-colored glasses because all I could see was the potential. All I could see was the end product and how beautiful it could be. And then I go back and I look at before pictures and I'm like, did we really, okay, what was I thinking? And not in a bad way. The house just needed so much work. So there was vines growing through the windows. There was carpet over the original hardwood floors upstairs. A lot of deferred maintenance. We had to clear cut the entire yard. We painted every surface and sanded down the hardwoods and restained them just to move in, really just to make it livable. Replaced every light switch, replaced every electrical outlet, replaced every light fixture, really just to make the house livable. So we spent about 4 months just getting it ready to move in with really 0 renovations. We didn't change anything, we didn't do anything, we just made the house clean and ready for our family. And then once we got in, I started customizing the house. So custom drapes, wallpaper, lots of molding and millwork throughout. And I've done a lot of fun projects, lots and lots and lots of wallpaper, stair runners, painting. I've even tiled. I'm a big DIYer. So I've made cabinets, I've tiled. I just kind of go room by room and execute. So let me take you into my dining room, one of my favorite rooms in the house. This room is so special for so many reasons. This was the very first room I did in the house. It had the low paneling. The only thing we kept were the doors. So the paneling, similar to the main hallway, just kind of wrapped around here, and it had green scraped plaster. Even over the light switches were green scraped plaster that had these lines in the plaster. And I could just see the potential of this room. So to go to the kitchen, to go to the living room, everyone walks through this hallway, and this is where all of the, the dinners happen. This is where the birthday dinners happen. This is where Easter happens. This is where Christmas dinner happens. And so I really wanted this room to be really, really special. Lots of inspiration online. And again, I did, instead of just similar to the main vestibule, a raised panel, very intricate, very high-end millwork. I am a DIYer, but I did hire a finished carpenter to do this. This room took him 4 months to do. And so he did a raised panel with an inset molding, a ledge and a crown in here, as well as adding crown molding. And then he also added these built-in hutches it just screams old house charm. A lot of new construction that I'm seeing is trying to add in charm, and I've seen corner bookcases coming back. And then we added the crown there as well. So then when it was all done, the molding was all done, I decided to wallpaper. I wallpapered the whole thing, and then I decided I didn't like the wallpaper. And so then I took it all back down, and then I put up this wallpaper. It's much more me. It was meant to be. This is the Schumacher hydrangea drape. It's a textured wallpaper. You might not realize that from afar, but it does add dimension to the room. And then it has hydrangeas. I'm a hydrangea queen. I love hydrangeas. I think I have over 40 hydrangea plants at my house, probably more than that. And so this is really me. It's really me. And so then we got all of the furniture in here is vintage from an estate sale. And so I actually got the set and then had the chairs recovered in a custom blue fabric to match the wallpaper. And then this table and chair set is just a faux bamboo, which adds so much. I mean, the bamboo detail and the cane detail in the chairs. It even has the little brass inlays. And then it came with multiple leaves, and then it also came with our buffet pieces. This was a huge find. I was actually only looking for chairs. I bought this beautiful marble table from Restoration Hardware, and then I was looking for chairs, and I didn't want like a cloth chair. I wanted something unique, and I found the chairs, and they would not sell me just the chairs. And I was like, I don't want your table. I don't want your buffets. And they were like, sorry, it's a set. And so I got the chair, I got it all home, and I was like, I'm sending the marble table back. I'm going vintage, and it worked out. It's really beautiful. Lots of other custom and estate sale finds. So this light fixture, I have this collection all through my home. This is the Gramercy collection from Visual Comfort. I have them all throughout sconces and other, and people look at it as they're gilded. It's supposed to resemble fixtures that were made in the 1930s, which our home is 1930s. And so it's very in line with what the home would normally have. And so it's really funny to see people say like, is that original or did you add that? And the fact that they don't quite know, it makes my heart sing. It makes me feel like I did a really good job. The fact that they don't know if it was original or if I put it in. So we did custom drapes in here to match this linear leaf pattern in the hydrangea drape wallpaper. And so I found this fun little trim that emulated the leaf pattern. So we worked that in and kind of almost like a little brass detail with the gold thread. And then these are my favorite. People don't realize when they come in person and they've seen this room, they say, oh my gosh, those lamps are huge. And they're huge. I mean, you can see I'm 5'7", so these lamps are huge. They were custom made for an estate in Chicago. Local interior designer had them, and they're actually fruit topiaries that were made into a lamp. And so they drilled through and made the fruit topiaries and had these custom shades put on. And then I have accented with some other fruit topiaries that I've got at a different estate sale at a different time. And I feel like these make the room. I thought when I saw them in person, a normal lamp's like this tall. And so this huge lamp, I was like, I don't know if that's going to look right. And then I put them in here and I was like, they're home. They're home. They belong in here. So this rug, it kind of emulates a sisal jute natural fiber rug, but it's actually indoor outdoor because I have little kids and a dog. And if you spill something, you can just rinse it right out. And so that's my little tip. If you want something really beautiful, but it's in a high traffic area, indoor, outdoor. I love all the vintage pieces. I love working them in. I don't even know if I registered for wedding china. I'm not even sure. And so when we got the house and we finished it, I really wanted statement china that matched our house, that looked like it was custom bought for this room, to eat dinner in this room. And so I found this Wedgwood Queensware in violet. It's a light blue. And I found a full 12-piece place setting, which is just, I don't know if you can see this detail, it's raised. A 12-piece place setting at an estate sale. It makes my heart so happy. So this is what we eat all of our fancy meals on when we have nice dinners. We will use the Wedgwood Queensware, and it came with all of these serving bowls. And I can't, to buy this new or to find a full vintage set is so rare. You can find a one-piece place setting, or you can find a teacup on eBay, but to find a full place setting, and it's so funny, I asked how they got this, because the estate sale, they didn't really have any good stuff. I saw this and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. It wasn't even the first picture. It was like picture number 50. I was like, I have to go. What if they have it? It was like, the doors had been open for 10 minutes. I got there 10 minutes after the start. I was like, there's no way it's going to still be there. And it was there. No one was even looking at it. And I got the whole set for like $500. And like one place setting is like a lot. So it was a really good steal. It was a really good find. And it was made for this room. It's incredible. So I love that. And then I also have some desert rose, which I have so much from my grandmother. It's the hand-painted china from when she got married, and so she gifted me, when she passed, I got the all of her desert rose, so it's hand-painted. That's been in my family for a really long time, all of the desert rose. So you can see how much I have. It completely fills up this banquette, and I've overflowed into the other storage cabinet. Like I said, this was my my grandmother on my dad's side, all of her vintage pieces like this one. It's actually cracked, but like I can never get rid of it because it's so beautiful and so special. I mean, everything. She has every single piece. I don't even know. I mean, if they made it, she had it. So it's a beautiful collection of the hand painted. It's all hand painted desert rose. So that's really, really pretty. And then my other grandmother, let me see if I have it here. She gifted, it's in the other one. Let me show you. This is so funny. Everyone that knows me knows I do not like the color red. I don't decorate with the color red. I don't wear the color red. Red is not me. But my grandmother had her Christmas china. So at Christmas, I pull out the red for my grandmother, my Mimi. It has the red hollies on it, and it has the little gold rim. So that's a really special piece. So I am overflowing, and then you can see actually my other china. I said that I wasn't going to collect china, but it seems as though I am. My spring china, I worked on a collaboration last year. So this is a huge benefit of being a content creator. I worked with Williams-Sonoma last year to set my table for spring. So we have all of this like Easter, and I did the cabbage lettuce plates. So special. And so have a full setting of all of the cabbageware. It's so beautiful. I love the green and blue. Those are my colors. I do love to host. I keep telling people I'll host more when my kitchen's done. So we'll look at that later. But I do host people in here because my kitchen is not done. So I'll set up ice buckets and drinks on this back buffet. And it's been great. It's been great for neighborhood get-togethers, for book club and social club. It's been great for family dinners and being able to host extended family in here. We are an NFL family, and we do have lots of visitors. And so we have lots of overflow that a small kitchen table will not fit. So this has been a really great space to have our whole extended family when they fly in. To have everybody in this room. And people always say, are you traveling for the holidays? And I'm like, no, we don't travel for the holidays. It's NFL season. It's football season. We're always host, which makes it really lovely. So I actually host every holiday except 4th of July. Except 4th of July. So every Thanksgiving is in this room. Every Christmas is in the room because we're hosting. So I love this table setting. I absolutely love decorating with topiaries. So my local florist has these beautiful topiaries and these beautiful pots. And then this is actually a preserved boxwood. So this is not alive, it's been preserved. And it had this really crazy green grass stuff. And so I put this really nice moss on top to really elevate it. And so I kind of flipped it. I did a little DIY on my home goods find, and then a local florist did this beautiful flat long arrangement. And I love all the greens, the green and white in here. You would think, blue or neutral, but the green and white in here works really, really well. So I have always been a DIYer. I remember when my parents were building our house, I was probably in middle school, and we were in this temporary housing situation, and I wanted everything to match. I had lime green shelves, and I picked lime green pillows and a coordinating teal comforter, and I wanted it, and I did white drapes, and I just wanted it to feel like my space. And so my earliest memory is, redecorating my super temporary living situation right there in middle school. And from there I moved on, and I did a 2-paint process as a high schooler. Did this 2-paint process of refinishing the walls in my bedroom, and my parents just kind of put up with it. And my dad was very handy. While he didn't do many house projects, if we needed the oil changed, he changed the oil. If you needed something fixed, you did it yourself. And so definitely growing up in that environment, it was I can figure it out kind of attitude. And so being a homeowner, my first couple of projects in Arizona, I took on, peel and stick wallpaper. I did a board and batten in the dining room. I kind of dipped my toe into bigger projects, but I could have never imagined where I am today, which is, you know, I gutted a whole bathroom. I laid a new subfloor. I'm tiling it. I waterproofed it. It's been really fun to learn and really to inspire others to do molding and learn how to use a nail gun and learn how to use a wet saw and learn how to use a miter saw and add all these tools to my collection. It's been really fun, not only for me to learn, but to also share that with my followers. So now let me take you into the living room. I always joke that my claim to fame in the living room is this wallpaper. It's actually peel and stick wallpaper. This room is really, believe it or not, this is kind of a Band-Aid. It's such a beautiful room, and I love this room, and I love all of the details that we've incorporated. This is just not the long-term plan for the room, and so that's really when my Instagram kind of like started seeing a bunch of traction, is when I started putting up the grass cloth wallpaper. It's just like a peel and stick, easy, very approachable wallpaper to put up. It's a giant sticker, but I love everything that we've done in this room. I love our big coffee table. I love our big oversized, extra deep Chesterfield couches. I love our wood burning fireplace, and I got actually this fireplace fender. This is such a good find. This is probably my best estate sale find to date. This is the Scully & Scully fireplace fender. They're made in England, and you can still buy them today. And I got such a good deal on it. And people will go, what is that thing by the fireplace? And it's a fireplace fender. And so you can sit on it, but it still protects the logs from rolling out for fire safety. So this is awesome. I love this fireplace fender. You can see the original dental molding on the fireplace, as well as the crown molding. So I love those original details, and we've worked in lots of antiques. We didn't want everything to be new. So whether it be the fireplace fender or the little brass bucket that holds the fire starters, multiple chess pieces around. This is a true antique. I got this piece from a local antique dealer. This piece is probably 16 pieces. Everything comes apart. It fits in like a puzzle. It has wavy glass, and it has all of this inlaid brass and all of these brass details. It's just incredible. It's really an incredible piece. It is 17th or 18th century vitrine. So yeah, and I love the little finials, the little brass finials on the top. Really lovely. So I decorated this vitrine with all kind of special goodies, like you would normally decorate a bookcase. So I really wanted built-ins in this room, and we have the double doors leading out on either side. So not double, but we have two doors leading out to the sunroom. So normally, you know, bookcases would flank the fireplace, and we had doors right there. And so and I didn't really want to get rid of the molding, and so I was very conflicted. So I got this antique piece really as a display case. That's what it is. And I have these little figurines that I found. I have this charcoal sketch of my little boys. I have some modern art. I have wedding photos, a little orchid, just some really pretty like things that you would normally use bookcases for to display, some decorative books, some books that I love, and just like some family mementos. This is actually the set that's in the hallway. So we have one little settee and then two chairs. So those are really cute. Again, just a really inexpensive Facebook Marketplace. I'll show you my favorite home goods find ever. And it's this mirrored console table. I got this actually when we were living in Arizona. Like I've tried to find it. I can't find it. It's beautiful. It's such a statement piece. It's so unique. It's got, you know, some distressing. And then these actually have a really fun story behind them. So these 6 botanical prints, there's a hotel in Michigan called the Grand Hotel. It's in Mackinac Island. And at one point they had Dorothy Draper come in and redesign the whole hotel. And there's this little hidden store kind of down the way, tucked back, where they sell things from the hotel. They'll sell, you know, things from the gift shop. They'll sell decor. They'll sell, you know, maybe this was a set of 12 and some got damaged, and so there was, you know, 6 left or whatever, and then they'll sell them in the store. And so I got these from the Grand Hotel. These were displayed in the Grand Hotel. It's such a historic hotel here in Michigan, and so they were hanging in the halls of the Grand Hotel, and now they're here. So I think that's a really cool story. I went for the first time this last summer, and I saw them and had to have them. So in here, the challenge with any room like this is it's really long and skinny, and it's really narrow. So it's long and narrow, and so I really wanted couches off of the wall. I wanted couches to face each other, but it's a little bit of a tight opening, and so I wanted some armchairs that weren't too oversized to fit, and these wound up being perfect. We have even have enough room to put a little table in between, so we got these big arm roll, you know, very ornate Chesterfield couches, and so I wanted a more sleek design armchair for this room, and of course I had to go blue to match the wallpaper, and they turned out really nice. We paired it with a lot of neutrals. I do love color, but every wall in my house is white. All of the molding is white. I have white couches and I have a white coffee table. So I do love white as neutrals, and then accenting with drapery and accenting with chairs. And so I love this big statement coffee table. It's over 4 feet long, maybe 5 feet long. I worked in some color, some green with our patterns here, with our drapery. And then I have some more vintage artwork from estate sales. I got this chess piece from an estate sale. Plant is a Home Depot special. I went one day when it was snowing, and I said, I know what'll make me happy, a plant. So got a plant. And then I got this beautiful bench with this silk fabric, actually. I don't even want to know how much that would cost to have it made brand new. I got this at an estate sale as well. So lots of estate sale finds in this room. These sconces that flank the fireplace are part of the Gramercy collection, the same as the dining room and the sunroom that I showed you. I have this collection all through my home. It's this really pretty distressed mirror with a living finish brass detail, and I love it. They're so beautiful. And then I paired it with some just timeless brass candlesticks and some really fun candles. So let me show you one of the favorite rooms in my house. There's two with high gloss, and that is my powder room. Come look. So the high gloss sells everyone. Everyone loves the powder room. I did this beautiful wallpaper, bird and thistle. This comes in a couple of colorways. I loved the green, and then I paired it with a high gloss green paint on all of the trim. This room also had flagstone, which was just not very fitting for my personal style. So I did a white marble in here with a new sink with all of these brass details and all brass accessories, paired with a little bit neutral, like a Roman shade, just to kind of tone it down and some more natural elements in here. And this room is kind of divided up into two, but we treated it as one room for cohesiveness. So the powder room, there's really kind of like a powder your nose area and a washroom area. And I feel like this is always a crowd favorite with the high gloss. It's a really beautiful green. We have two rooms in our home that are really more like dark and cozy. This is one of those rooms because instead of a traditional light fixture in here, I opted for a brass fixture. So the light fixture actually has brass chandelier shades as well. So the whole shade is metal, which is a really fun touch. So this I feel like is one of the statement pieces from the exterior of the home, this round window, and I love that they put all of the grids in. And this is actually in the stone portion of the house, and so on the exterior, it's a circle window out of the stone, which is really beautiful. I have another high gloss room to show you, the Mudroom. It's another crowd favorite, and it's also green, so I'll show you that now. Welcome to my mudroom. This room is Instagram's favorite room in my house. I love this room. I opted for the really high gloss paint. This is Fine Paints of Europe, Holland Lac Brilliant 98. This is a mirror-like finish. It took a lot of time. So I DIY'd this room, I tiled. This is a heated floor. This was an old covered porch with a milk chute and a little bell. We found the milk chute when we were tearing out the old lockers, so that was cute. And I just gutted this room and started off fresh. We insulated and raised the floor. We insulated and lowered the ceiling. This is a flat roof. So this room got shorter, but it's still huge. And I just wanted this room to be ultra luxe and glam, which I feel like is opposite of maybe what you think about as a mudroom. But my thought was, when we come in, you know, from a long day at school, or we come in from shopping, or we come in from whatever, this is the room that we step in. So guests enter in the vestibule, but we as a family, we enter through this room. So this is in the very back, tucked in the back of the house, and this is how we enter our home. So I wanted beautiful marble floors. I wanted this to instantly feel like home. I didn't want this to just kind of be grungy in the back. I wanted this to just be this beautiful space that would welcome us home. So I have a heated floor in here and the checkerboard marble. Everyone has their own locker and has a door so that it always looks clean and tidy. Let's see if mine looks tidy. Some coats in there. And then I did this, I did a shelf inside, and then I had a carpenter cut out this detail. So he cut out this detail in the flat part of the door, and then I made it into a door. I did all of the painting, and then we accented in these little finger pulls, which I thought would be really easy for the kids. And then I love on all of my door handles out through the home, I did a brass back plate. So it's the lever, and then on the back of it, there's a plate of brass. And so I thought this really emulated it nicely to give us a big pop of jewelry on the cabinets and the brass detail, and then the finger pulls. And then we did the cups on the bottom. Again, a big brass detail. I did a lot of really fun, I took some design risk in here, right? Because it's just kind of a one-off room. And so I actually wallpapered this little header board that was, you know, that was already here. So this bigger board, the stripes, that's wallpapered. And then I did lattice boards on the ceiling. So it's just a plywood ceiling, and then I added lattice boards. And then to cover the transition from the wallpaper to the lattice, I actually used fabric. And so I took the fabric from all of the custom drapes, and I wrapped the fabric I wrapped the molding in fabric, and then I put that all along the ceiling as just another little fun pop of detail. I also added fabric to this mirror. This was just a plain white mirror that I actually got at Bed Bath & Beyond, believe it or not. I added this little brass, I nailed on this little brass plate, and then I painted it, coordinating colors, and then I added this velvet to the bottom to just really tie it all in together and make it feel ultra luxe and ultra custom. I opted for these really oversized sconces where you saw a lot of metal, where you saw a lot of brass, because it's all brick walls. This was an old enclosed side porch with a milk chute, and so I wanted just some statement sconces and some brass on here. So I opted for these brass sconces, and then it has a little Greek key detail, and we finished it off with a green chandelier shade to tie in all of the green. I actually had a different chandelier in here, but it hung too low and we were hitting our heads. I put this flush mount in, this semi-flush mount, and we have those all through the upstairs. And so I tied that in down here as well. And then this bench cushion, it's all family-friendly perennial fabric. We customized it with a D for Disner. And this is very lived in. This is what it normally looks like. It has little fingerprints and dirt on it. It doesn't look like that on Instagram, but it looks like that in real life. And what we did was I picked out a really beautiful monogram design, and I took it to a company that does applique. And so I had this applique applied with my matching fabric, with the matching drape fabric. I took the drape fabric. We used the drapery fabric to make the applique on this white fabric. And then I had a seamstress cut the fabric into a cushion, and then the welt here is also the matching fabric. So this is ultra custom. It just unzips to go in the wash. It's all family friendly fabric, and it's just nice for when you put your shoes on. You can just open up the drawer and get your shoes and sit right here on the bench. So white in a mudroom with two little boys and a dog is probably not everybody's first choice, but it's actually held up amazing. It's been almost 2 years, and it's held up amazing. I've only had to wash it once. It's probably about time for that second wash. So for the drapes, I just picked out this beautiful velvet. So it's really heavy, really luxe, really heavy fabric, but it's green. And then I added this tassel trim. So my local seamstress made these, and we did a pinch pleat to keep it really formal. And then an artist actually reached out to me while I was doing this room and wanted to show me this artwork that she thought would go perfect in this room. And I was like, okay, send it. And my heart dropped when she sent it because they're magnolias. And I'm originally from Mississippi, the magnolia state. And so unknowingly, really because of this artist, I was able to kind of bring in a piece of Mississippi to my home here in Michigan with the magnolias, which fit in literally perfect in this space. So next, let me take you to the office, which is a dark, moody room. Let's go. So this is our home office. We have the knotty pine walls, and I lost this battle. I wanted to paint them. I felt like this is not a log cabin. Like, what are we doing? And my husband was like, I really love it. I think we should keep it. And that was 100% the right call. That was the right call. So this is our earthy, warm tone, kind of manly room. We have historic Detroit prints. So this is from an artist that, you know, these are all historic prints from the war and from making the Model T. So we wanted to do really warm, cozy vibes in here. I opted for a plaid. So this is a Ralph Lauren fabric. We did a Euro pleat in here instead of a pinch pleat, a little bit more refined, a little more modern-esque. And then we did a matching pillow. And then I actually got this at an estate sale. And so we put the blue velvet on the bench cover. And then we did a blue wool Greek key carpet in here, custom cut rug, and just very, you know, earthy tones, warm tones, historic prints. Just made this room really fun. And you'll see lots of history things in here. We have, you know, I think that's old Tiger Stadium. Again, Model Ts and old beer deliveries in some of the art. Beautiful draperies. We have lots of footballs. We have a record player. These sconces were actually, these are just like a faux bamboo sconce. And so these were like a creamish white color thrown in the basement at an estate sale. They were plug-in, and we got them rewired to be hardwired. And so now when you turn on the light, these operate. And then I painted them just like a navy blue gloss for this room. This we got professionally framed. This is a gift to my husband for I don't know when I got it for him, but it's early 1900s. I'm blanking on the exact year, but it's an old parade flag. And so we got it and framed it. And so that kind of just sets the Americana, you know, Ralph Lauren vibes for this room. The built-in bookcases that flank the fireplace here, we just have a collection of old books and, you know, things from Lions games, this little Barry Sanders, when they did Barry Sanders in bronze, they made a bronze statue for him. They did like mini ones at the games. We have footballs that my husband has collected over the years from working in football, a record player. So this is like a mini speakeasy in here. You know, you can have a drink and turn on the record player, and it's a whole vibe. Okay, Willie's gonna join us for this. So this is kind of like a little hidden thing if you want it to be. It's a globe that spins, but it also opens and you can put drinks in there. So it's a little liquor cabinet. So that's a fun little vintage-esque touch. Probably my favorite feature of the home, and I think it really separates new construction from an old house, is we have super wide hallways and we have all of these arched openings. And so from the moment that you walk through the vestibule into the main hallway, you see all of these arches. There's an arched door and they're really wide hallways, and it's just gracious in space. And I feel like new construction and a lot of the homes you go in, it's really tight when you go in the front door, and this home just like welcomes you and is like, welcome home. And those things are hard to change. in an existing home. And so the bones of this house are just so good. And I love all the natural light. It's really incredible on a sunny day. I feel like I have to wear sunglasses in the sunroom because it is so sunny in the house. So now let me take you upstairs to the bedrooms. So welcome to my bedroom. I absolutely love this room. It was a huge labor of love. I took a lot of design risk in this room. Lots of layers, lots of texture, and just very warm and cozy. So I did a double lattice on the ceiling, lattice boards. And so instead of just one, like in the mudroom, it's 2 and 2. All on the ceiling, and so that was fun. That was a fun project, and so I did this whole room myself personally. So I did the lattice ceiling, and then I did this linear wallpaper. You know, it's not just stripes. It has this little scallop edge on it, which is just kind of really softens it. And going up the eaves of the house was a challenge because I didn't know where to stop the wallpaper. Where's the ceiling? Where's the wall? Where does it end? And so I decided to take it up, and I feel like it draws your eye up. And so this is a printed grass cloth. So this pattern is printed on real grass. And this paper is a challenge to install, but worth it because it's grass. It's a natural texture, and it turned out even better than I could have imagined. And then I tied in that exact pattern. So the striped pattern on the wallpaper is also the striped pattern on the back of our bed canopy on the drapery. And then all of our drapery in the room, we use this tulip design on the drapes. And then I also brought that exact pattern in on our bed canopy as well, along the top of the cornice as well as the sides. And then I tied in this custom velvet trim, not only on the drapery, so it's on all of the drapery, which is really nice and luxe, but then I tied it into our custom pillow as well. So I tied in the tulip fabric in the pillow, in the cornice, and in the drapery, and then I tied in the fabric as well on the pillow. So that's really fun. For this piece at the end of the bed, this was a vintage find. It was just covered in a cream standard fabric, and so I did a velvet fabric here on the bench to just kind of bring in some green, and then I used the same green fabric as the trim on the cornice. So I really like repeating pattern and repeating usage of fabrics. It's kind of a common theme to really tie it all together. We did a custom cut rug with a green trim. Again, the custom cut rug is very plain, but I wanted to give it just a little bit of an edge, just a little bit of an extra design pop, and so that's why we added the green. The chest on both sides, I found at an estate sale. They were actually in pretty rough shape, so I cleaned those up with a little oil product. And then these are Frederick Cooper lamps. One of my friends talked me into getting these. I was like, these lamps, they're like, I don't know about the lamps. And then I got them home and I was like, how could I ever live without these lamps? They're amazing. And so I love lamp. I love the lamps. They're really beautiful. I have the marble base and gilded with this cute little fringe shape. The lamps are great. I have a couple more surprises for you in here. These chairs are custom Cheryl chairs with Canton and Tout. They're like the most like plush, amazing chairs ever. New these chairs to be about $4,500 each, and I got these for $300 each at an estate sale. And I was working on this room. I was looking online for chairs every single day. I had ordered fabric, and I could not find anything that would go perfect with this grass cloth and the tulip. And I'd already started installing the wallpaper, and so everything had to match the wallpaper. And then I found these chairs, and so it was meant to be. I had this piece custom commissioned. I had this piece commissioned by an artist, the same artist that I used in my hallway for the modern art. I thought it was a really nice touch to, again, kind of have some abstract, a little bit more modern element in such a heavy traditional space. Love the art. And then here I have a little surprise for you. I found this little piece on Facebook Marketplace. I'd been looking for something similar to this for a while. I put the tulip fabric on the inside so that it just kind of looks like a cabinet. And then this is where the TV lives in our room. We don't watch much TV in here, but it's a nice little hideaway. And then I lined the insides here with little boards with the grass cloth paper. So everything matches. The lines, actually, if you stand back, the lines on the boards actually perfectly align with the wallpaper on the walls. That's how type A I am. So you'll see lots of wallpaper details as well. I'll show you this corner. Everything from the vents, all of the vents are wallpapered perfectly in. Even the return vent. This is a weird thing to show you, but as a DIYer, I'm very proud of myself if you would like to look at how well that vent is hidden. This is hand-painted wallpaper. The same designer, Gracie, as downstairs. And this is their petite collection. And so I framed this in a really oversized, chunky frame to have some framed art in this room as well. And then we have 2 lithographs in here that were done, I don't know how long ago, and then they were hand colored. So behind each lamp, we have these beautiful lithographs, which are just stunning estates all over Europe. It's very cozy. I was like, it's either going to drive us crazy because it's so busy, or it's just going to be really cozy and comforting. And luckily it was cozy. As a DIYer, they have these little challenges online. One of the challenges, there's many little competitions or room makeovers you can do. But I like to give myself a timeline. And so this room, as well as my other son's room, was part of the 1 room challenge, where you make over a whole room in 8 weeks, start to finish. In 8 weeks, you finish the room. And so I like that because it really forced me to focus on this room and not get pulled in other directions. Oh, I need drapes for this room. Oh, I need to order this for the other room. For 8 weeks, I did nothing but work on this room. And so I really, I wanted it to be like done. I didn't want, in the end of 8 weeks, I didn't want there to be a to-do list of things that I had to come back and finish. I wanted it to be completely done and we could just move into this room and be happy. And so I hustled to get the wallpaper and all the fabric. I made the cornice myself. So I cut all of the boards. I routed out the board for the design. I jigsawed out the little cut pieces to make the cornice. Luckily, I can't sew because then it would have taken me way too much time if I had to make the drape. So luckily, I can't sew. I hired that out. And yeah, I just wanted this room to be completely done, cozy, lived in, like I had been decorating this home and this room for years, all in a matter of 8 weeks. You'll notice all the bedding in here has these scallops. And so I did the double scalloped on the coverlet and the duvet cover. A little bit of a feminine touch, but just enough to add a little more character, a little more charm. Same with the pillows and the shams. So I love the scallop details on the sham instead of just a straight edge. It's one more layer of texture and design and color in the room. So now let me take you to another room that I did in just 8 weeks, my son's room. Let's go. So this is my son's room. This is deemed the train room. So we have lots of little train details. When he was little, he loved trains. So we have lots of details. Okay, Willie's gonna join us again in here. So this room was a total transformation. The only thing that we left was the baseboards. So first I added this chair rail, and then I added the box molding on the top and the bottom, as well as the crown molding. We did a custom cut rug in here with all of the stars, and then we paired that opposite the ceiling for the star wallpaper. So that's a really fun touch. And then we worked in lots of train art and lots of customizations. The bed is actually my grandmother's bed from her house. So we worked in that vintage element of an old double bed at grandma's house. And then we worked in all of the train art. And then again, just some really custom details with this really cute lampshade. It has this gathered kind of pleated raw edge here, almost like a ruffle. And so I found 2 of these at an estate sale. And so they were the perfect spot in here for the blue. Even though it's a boys' room, I did the scalloped in here again. And this is actually a 2-tone scalloped, and we matched that with an applique. So we took some blue fabric and did the applique and then worked that in to the custom bench cushion here and did that as the cording. So we did 4 custom Roman shades in here, cordless Roman shades. We did the striped, the camel and white striped, and the blue pom-pom detail. And then we matched those to the little window seats, striped, and then we matched the cording to the applique on the pillows. So lots and lots of just well thought out details. Funny story about wallpaper again is this room, I actually started wallpapering the ceiling. It's an old house. None of the walls are even. Nothing is square. Nothing is plumb. And I started wallpapering and it looked really, really bad. It was bubbling up off the ceiling and I think it was I got about halfway through wallpapering the ceiling by myself and it was not going well. And so I had to take it all down, resand the ceiling, and it was these little bitty stars was the original design. And so I was really bummed because I couldn't use the paper that I wanted to use, and I had not picked out a rug yet. So I found this paper, I started installing it, and then I found this rug. And proportionally, the stars on the ceiling are about the same size as the stars on the rug, so it was really meant to be, the stars aligned, if you will, because it was really meant to be to work in all the star details. I'll show you a couple other pieces. This is from the 1960s, 1970s. This is Henry Link Valley High. This was a collection that Henry Link did, and they were kind of yellow in tone with real brass pulls. And they're kind of hard to find, vintage pieces on the market, and I found 2. I found one, this piece had been painted, and then the other piece was in original form. And then I painted them this beautiful blue dragon. I painted them this beautiful blue color, which was it was a hard thing to do because blue walls, which is, I know everybody's gonna wanna ask paint color. This is Sherwin-Williams Sleepy Blue at 50%, color matched to the Benjamin Moore Advanced Line Satin Paint. And the blue dragon paint, I found that it was kind of hard, but what I did was I took the fabric and the cording, I got the color the closest I could to the cording color, and I painted both of the case pieces in here, the blue dragon. So I'll show you another one. We have a second one over here, and this was a dresser and mirror combo, and they're both painted in the exact same blue. We did really nice custom monogram storage baskets with the little scallop detail there. And just some little display pieces. Again, we have more train art. And then we also found this at an estate sale. This is a train stamp collection. So this is not our collection, but just a vintage piece of art that I found with all train stamps, which is really cute. And then a railroad crossing lamp for the full train theme in here. So I actually used this exact desk as a getting ready area. It's a vanity with a mirror. I used this in my closet for a really long time, and then I found this huge desk at an estate sale, and it was hand carved, and I had nowhere for it to go. And so I switched. So my son got my leftovers. He was asking for a desk in his room, and so this is the perfect desk for a child. It's smaller and compact and fits in the corner of his room nicely. And so he has all of his little art supplies in here. So I'll take you to my other son's room next, the football room. So this room is the football room. So all things vintage football in blue. So I wallpapered this room in this football wallpaper. We got a matching pillow and matching sheets. And The original drapes in the dining room were actually these. I got these made with a Greek key in the blue and to match the hydrangea drape wallpaper, and it wasn't sitting right with me, and so I said I want to put them in the football room when I did this room. And so that's perfect. Just a little blue Greek key trim on all the drapes. And then these chairs were actually an estate sale find, which was perfect in here. So I did the gingham rug and the gingham chairs. And so that's perfect, the blue on blue and the gingham on gingham tones. So we did a little twin size bed for my younger son, the football sheets, as I mentioned, and then we did a monogram pillow, just like I did for my other son, in an applique. So bringing in the light blue and the dark blue in the wallpaper. Gave the mirrors a little makeover. They were just like a cream color and painted those blue. And then the nightstands are just like a vintage find. And I have him all of these little boxes, storage boxes that he can keep all of his little treasures and toys and dinosaurs in. And these are his favorite thing to do, is to drive me crazy with these lamps that touch on and off. So great Target find. My friend actually found these, I think at Goodwill for me. She found these football lamps. I think they're like old Pottery Barn or something. So we found little football lamps. We did a custom ginger jar in here with our last name, and he loves dogs. So we did a little Staffordshire dog, other football artwork. And then each of my boys has this little baby banner from like the day they were born with all of their birth stats as art. So that's really fun. We also have other football art throughout the room. We did this little football field and vintage football players. So that's really sweet. So for me, home really means personal. I think there's a lot of idea out there that you should get your home ready and that you should keep it neutral for resale value, that you should design your home in a way that is applicable to all, to the masses, so that no one could be, offended or turned off by your home. And I think that's the opposite of making a house a home. Making a house a home is showcasing what you love, making it personal, hanging that wallpaper, getting custom furniture made, having monograms on your pillows, claiming it as your space so that it's really custom to you. Each of my sons have monogram pillows, so it's theirs, ownership of that room, cozy and warm and inviting. That's what I think feels like home.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Vanessa. Welcome to my home in Michigan. I can't wait to show you around.
Hi, I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we're now offering a membership plan that gives our supporters early and exclusive access to new videos.
Hi, Homeworthy.
I'm Roz.
You're here at my home in Los Angeles.
Come on in. I can't wait to show you around.
With this membership, we invite you to open more doors, discovering new homes, rooms, and personalities available only to those with the keys to our guest house. You'll be part of a community of people who are just as passionate as you are about interior design. To access all of this exclusive content, simply click the Join button below to become a member today. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Cheverry-Gratz, and we are here in my 1926 registered historic Tudor on Grosse Ile, Michigan. My husband and I have historically moved a lot for our careers. His old job actually brought us to different parts of Texas and different parts of California over the last 7 years. Fairly recently, he though found a new career and put us both in remote career positions. So for the first time ever, or at least since we've been together, we had full control over where we lived. And one night, drinking a little bit of wine on the sofa, we were scrolling Trulia just for fun, just to see what real estate was out there, because we love looking at real estate, love seeing what's out in the market. And we happened upon this absolutely beautiful 1926 Tudor on a little island in Michigan. And as fate would have it, we were already scheduled to come into town about a week later, as this is where my husband's family is from. And we were coming into town for a wedding and decided, let's just go look at it. Let's just see what it's about, just for fun. Nothing serious. We were living in Dallas, Texas. We owned a home. We'd only been there for 2 years. And the minute we walked into this house, it sold us. We knew it, the charm, the creaky floors, everything about it just gave us chills. And we put an offer the next day. So when you first walk into the house, you can kind of get a good visual of everything. What I love and what we did very strategically is we placed this vintage piano here. This is honestly one of my favorite secondhand finds. I got this for free at an estate sale. It didn't sell, and so they just wanted to offload it. And I took lessons as a kid. I am now taking lessons via YouTube and slowly but surely learning, but I just think it's so beautiful here. And honestly, the wall space was so perfect for it. And I love that it's just an awesome place to display art. Again, secondhand finds, and it's a nice little welcome into the house. It's really funny when we host people will usually sit down and play around on it. And so we're going to go into the living room from here. Living room is really the heart of the home and one of my favorite spaces in this house. I really wanted this space to feel cozy and warm, and I wanted it to be the landing hub for when everyone came in and we gathered. So we collected, just in my opinion, beautiful pieces. I have a very clear color palette. You'll notice as you go through the house, I'm a huge fan of green. It is a neutral for me. And I do a lot of brass, a lot of woods. I like to mix textures and different textiles and things of that sort. And then as you come this way, you'll see one of my favorite projects, which is our gallery wall. Gallery wall is something I've had in every single home that we have lived in. This is probably my favorite though. Everything here is either from a local artist, someone I connected with online, or something I found at a thrift store or an estate sale. I just really love collecting beautiful pieces and pairing it with, again, something new and old. So this is definitely a very proud portion of the house for me. So when it comes to gallery wall creation, I actually like a little bit of chaos. I do very little planning with gallery walls. I'll typically figure out what my centerpiece is and maybe a couple surrounding pieces. You'll likely find me laying them out just on the floor, getting a bird's eye view, stepping on top of the furniture to get an idea of what it would look like. But for the most part, I like to just play around with it. I like it to be very organic, and I honestly change it very often. If you were to take all of these frames down, there's probably 100 holes in the wall from me moving things around, trial and error. But honestly, that's what I love about interior decorating. It's the trial and error. It's figuring out what works for you and what doesn't. And this is probably not going to be the last rendition. There's going to be some changes, but I just love the flexibility and the fluidness of just throwing some art on the wall and seeing how it looks. These are pine cone candle holders. I got these at a Goodwill this last holiday season. They're metal and they were just so unique and fun. We are surrounded by pine trees, a lot of evergreens on our property, and it just felt right. Even though they were technically holiday decor, they feel like year-round decor in our house. So fun fact, historically, I was never a fan of built-in shelving. It felt like I was forced to put things on the walls, and I never loved that. However, we walked into this house and they had 2 symmetrical bookshelves on either side of the living room. And these were actually additions. They're not original to the home. I'm not quite sure what year they were put in, but they were just so perfectly placed. And I just felt really inspired to use these as just like the canvas for all of the things I've collected, for all of the special things that are either from my family or my husband's or just we found during our travels. So you'll find a collection of a little bit of everything. I've got candles and books and art and antiques. We actually have a really special little memento here. This is a ceramic and brass owl that my grandmother gave me. She is originally from England, but lives in Australia now. And I specifically asked her when we moved into this house, hey, is there anything that you can give me that's yours, that's special to you, that I can have in this house of you? And so this little item is really cute and it opens up. So it's a little treasure trove. But that's what these bookshelves are filled with. They're filled with just special items from, again, everywhere. Over here, again, I love books. Books as decor is one of my favorite things. It's such a good filler. And I specifically love to find books that are really old. If I can find them with inscriptions, that's even better. I actually even have a photo. This is a photo of Caleb Diedrichson. He was the original owner of this house in 1926. So him and his family lived here for several years. And I looked high and low on the internet to find a portrait of him because I felt like it was really special that we paid homage to the original people that designed this house and lived here and created memories. So something about me is I love a deal and I do love secondhand anything. I'm a huge Facebook Marketplace shopper. This mirror is probably my proudest find. We found this just a couple hours away from us here in Michigan, and we had no idea how large it was when we picked it up. You know, they give you dimensions for these things, but we showed up and this was just the most beautiful, giant antique mirror. I was so excited. I paid $70 for this, and it is honestly my prized possession. If the house is on fire and I could only take one thing, it would be me trying to lug this out of this house. So the chess set here is actually because I have a goal of learning to play chess. I grew up with my dad and my brother, always playing into the wee hours of the night, and I never truly understood it. Josh knows how to play, so my 10-year plan is that he'll eventually teach me. I'll eventually have the patience for him to teach me. So it's here in case anyone comes into the house and plays, or if I get motivated one day. When we moved in, this house was in pretty much immaculate shape. The previous owners and their family had been here for over 40 years. And actually part of the selling point is that they had put in over $200,000 worth of renovation in that 40 years. They completely replaced the windows. They did a full kitchen refresh. They added in a shower upstairs. So things that this old home just needed to be updated over time. So we were in a great scenario where we were able to come in and truly just put our stamp on it with decor. We definitely have plans longer term for some smaller changes, but honestly, this house was ready for us. So the fireplace was one of the very first selling points of this house. This house has so many selling points personally, but this is the original plaster fireplace to the home. We actually have the original kind of mock-up and build of the house, and it showcases the fireplace, and it's just absolutely stunning. The detail in this wet plaster work is incredible. There's actually a crest here. It's kind of faded out, but I don't know for sure. My hope is that maybe that crest is from the original family. I hope it has a special meaning to that. Since I don't know, I'm going to claim that this is a special crest. But this fireplace is truly just a work of art, and it's one of the first things that everyone talks about when they come into the house. And it's wood burning, although we actually transitioned it to gas as well, so we can do both in a pinch. And it's just one of my favorite pieces. And we put up the frame TV here. Actually, this was a bit of a strong discussion between my husband and I when we identified this home and that we were going to purchase it. I told him there was absolutely no way we were putting an ugly black TV on this mantle. It was either going to be art or it was going to be nothing. And so the frame TV was actually a great middle ground for us. I can change the art to whatever I want, and it looks like a painting. And it's also one of the things that people walk in and say, oh, I love that piece of art. And it's always so fun to let them know it's just a TV. So this is a brass firebox. Fun fact, when we moved in, there was one almost identical to this. It was the previous owners, and I begged them to sell it to me. They said no, though. It was a family heirloom, so I totally understood, but I was absolutely inspired by what they had here, and it was filled with firewood, and I thought it was so beautiful. So I went online, and I found a secondhand one and had it shipped to me, and I just absolutely love it. We don't actually fill it with wood. It's just filled with random things that I need throughout the house, but it's a great hiding place for kind of your junk, but it's absolutely stunning. It's vintage and I absolutely adore it. I mentioned that I love everything equestrian and just Western, and it's adorned with horses. So it felt really right for us and for our home. So something about me is I will find a way to make anything art and or decor. These are the original blueprints to the house. So something really special about this space is we are the 5th owner of this home, but every homeowner has passed down the original deed and the original blueprint. So I think it's so special that everyone thought it was worth it to keep these in good condition. They were just in a plastic bag when we took the keys to the house, and I thought, why not make a bouquet of it in the home? And so every once in a while we'll pull these out and show them to friends or family, but I thought it was just a fun decor piece. Again, I love anything that you can repurpose. I love giving new life to items that maybe were just stuck in a basement prior. And so something like this is really special to me, and it's definitely a talking point for sure. Another talking point actually is my art right over here. I, for some reason, have an affinity for finding art of people I don't know. I find it fun. It's interesting. I like to jokingly give these people names. And I found this piece actually while on a work trip in Louisiana. And I found him at an antique store, and he's just so fun. I call him the radiator art because, well, what else are you going to put on top of a radiator other than a great piece of art? And so I call him George. Don't know if that's his real name, but he's special to us. The frame is absolutely stunning. And I'm just drawn to beautiful things, and I'll find any place to put them. One of my firm beliefs is being able to mix new and old. So my house is full of antiques. It's full of vintage decor and items, but a lot of my furniture is actually brand new. And so in this case, we were able to combine, a secondhand vintage stunning rug with newer furniture. These green chairs are from West Elm. They are a crowd favorite. They're the perfect shade of green. And because green is a neutral to me, I thought, why not have green furniture in my home? And the velvet is so much fun. And I do love just mixing those different textures. And then I added in white boucle swivel chairs, which we love because with this being a TV, it's easy for someone to just swivel, whether they're in conversation or we're watching a game or something together. I got a lot of questions when asked why am I going to put white in my home. We have a lot of family members with kids. We have a dog, but thankfully nothing insane has happened. They've been protected and we love it here. It's just, again, I like mixing new and old. I like the fact that this furniture feels a little mid-century modern, but everything around it feels very classic. It feels traditional. It feels English country. It feels like a Tudor, but it still meshes really well together. And that's why I am such a believer that you can do whatever you want in your house. If it makes sense for you and it feels good to you, go for it. A few other really special items in this room and that go throughout the house as well are these original wood floors. They creak. They are definitely not quiet at all, but something about that is just so charming. They also kind of wave. There's a little bit of movement here, but again, with an old home, kind of the beauty of it is the imperfections. And those imperfections make me feel that I don't have to be perfect in any way, shape, or form as well. So the original wood floors were something that we absolutely fell in love with immediately. And then additionally, the crown molding. So all of these walls, you'll notice, have a really thick texture. So it's all wet plaster, and the same for the crown molding. And the crown molding goes throughout most of the bottom floor of the house. And something that's just really special to us and immediately draws your eye. And I'm just so, so grateful we get to live here. I like to describe my design style as kind of a cluster of things. I don't feel like our home is just one style. I very much leaned mid-century modern in our last house, and so we still have a lot of those pieces here, and I still find a lot of inspiration from mid-century, but we're in an English style Tudor, and I thoroughly believe in letting a house lead you as far as your design and what you put into it. So although I had some mid-century modern aspects, I started incorporating a lot more traditional, a lot more English country, a little bit of French modern because I just love the way that looks. Also some Western. I am very drawn to equestrian for a couple different reasons. One, I grew up with a horse, and so that's part of my childhood. But two, my mom is actually from England, and so a lot of her personal style comes with me as well. So it's definitely a mix. So when someone asks me that, I give them the full list of things they will find in my home. There are so many things I love about this house. I have a mile-long list. However, I would say my top two The original plaster fireplace that's behind me, this was an instant selling point. You see it the minute you walk into the house, and it is so intricate and unique, and we just absolutely fell in love. I love a fire. It is so cozy and warm, and I just love any scenario where you can just feel you're most comfortable at home. But I would say second is our sunroom, and it's such a unique space. This was actually an addition to the house in the 50s. It is a fully temperature controlled room with indoor and in-ground garden beds, meaning I can grow fruits, vegetables, or just tropical plants in any season in Michigan, which is pretty unheard of considering we have pretty harsh winters here. But it's stunning. It is full of plant life. It came with plant life when we bought the house, and we've incorporated our own as well. I have a small lemon tree. I'm growing figs. I'm so in love with this space, and it's just so special to us. Now let me walk you into our sunroom. So welcome to our sunroom. Got a little step down here. This was actually an addition to the house. So this was put in the late 40s, early 50s. Actually, an article was written about this room specifically in the Detroit Free Press because it was the first of its time. These tiles are heated, and so that is how this room stays warm. We've got a full thermostat that just controls it. And it's honestly just such a special space. So in addition to the heated tiles, this room has an entire, I would say about 4 to 5 feet of in-ground plant beds, meaning I can plant things literally into our ground inside the house. It's just the coolest space. I love plants. In our last house, we had a sunroom, just a traditional room with lots of windows and lots of light. And so when we saw this was one of those moments where I said, okay, this house is for me because there's a space where I can put my plants and they're going to thrive. And wanting to make this space really green and lush, we added a few things. So first, we added a full wall mural of a just stunning mountain landscape. That was actually my husband's idea. That was one of those ideas that I said, hey, that's really good. Let's do that. And that just adds to the green space. And then we also painted the ceiling green as well. And that's something that was really special to me. It was just original pine, just white beadboard. And I wanted it to feel a lot more cozy, a lot more warm. And I wanted to play off of the green plants in the room. And then we've added just some kind of fun, funky things in this space. You'll notice a horse saddle behind me. I mentioned earlier, I had a horse growing up. I love equestrian. I wanted to be a professional, cowgirl at one point in my life. Didn't happen, but I like to pay homage to things like that. So this is one of my very trusty Facebook Marketplace finds. I love displaying it. It's just, again, one of those moments that feels special to me because that was my childhood and really, really good decor. But other than that, this room is just full of plants. I find them everywhere. Some of these came with us from our move from Texas. A lot of them, though, I found at local nurseries and plant shops. And we've just added pieces that were unique and special to us. So these were secondhand club chairs from a place called the Detroit Club, which is a 100-year-old plus institution here in the Metroplex. And even items like our green sofa. Again, green is a neutral for me. And so putting more and more green in our house just felt right. And it felt especially right for this room. This is fairly new. This is from one of my favorite companies, Interior Define, and they make fully custom furniture, but just at affordable pricing. And so this is kind of our landing space for all things recreation, whether a football game is on, whether it's going to be a movie night or we're hosting an event, because hidden behind these doors is another TV. And what's really cool about this, so when this room was built, this used to be a wood burning oven. There's a full fireplace here that goes outside. They had burners, and the family that was here used to grow fruits and vegetables in the ground and then cook them here. And this was their kind of all season room. And somewhere in the probably 60s or 70s, it got transitioned into just a TV space, but it's really unique and fun. And it's one of those things that is so special to this house and just interesting. And I'm a fan. We love it. I definitely deal with all the normal plant parent things, even though these plants are in the house. So things like pests they just come with the territory, and it's something I've known for several years now. I've battled with several years now. That's kind of one of the beauty of having all of the live plants in one space. It's kind of contained. But yeah, I struggle. The in-ground beds, weeds grow here. I literally pick weeds in this room. It's kind of hilarious, but just such an interesting and unique space. So the light above the dining table is a reproduction of a Tiffany-inspired chandelier. It has interesting grapes and just beautiful tones, greens, of course. This was a Facebook Marketplace find. Again, it's just like my go-to, and it was so affordable. I think the owner gave it to me for $20, and I just couldn't say no. And I just think it's such a beautiful addition to this space. It looks like it would have already been here. And that's what I love doing in our house, is finding pieces that feel like they were here from the beginning. And it's not, odd or different, but it just feels right in the space. Something else that kind of felt right in the space is our antique armoire. We actually purchased this from the previous owner. This used to be their TV wardrobe in the main living room, and we thought it was such a beautiful piece and we wanted it for ourselves, but something that we repurposed and also hid something interesting in. This is my husband's liquor cabinet. So this is one of the reasons why we usually host parties in this room. He's a huge collector of whiskeys and tequilas, and we just thought this cabinet was the perfect place to display them. And it's just such a fun talking point, and it's always hilarious when we open this up and people are very surprised. I am a tequila gal. My go-to cocktail is actually margarita. I pride myself on making a delicious margarita, and that's probably from my Texas roots. It's just ingrained in me. Tequila Ocho is my absolute favorite tequila, and so we always keep that on deck. But my husband is a big whiskey drinker. He's a classic whiskey with a rock and just very simple man, but not so simple because he collects so many different whiskeys, and it's kind of insane how many different, brands and styles and flavors are out there. And so you'll notice there's a big collection of things here. His absolute favorite is called a Midwinter's Night Dram. It's incredibly hard to find and it's incredibly expensive. So when he can't find it, it's honestly really good on our pocketbook. So I do a few different things professionally. Full-time on my LinkedIn, I am an optometrist recruiter for a company called Warby Parker, and I've been with them for a little over 9 years and several different capacities, and have moved around with that company, different states and cities as well, and absolutely adore it. However, in the last 2 to 3 years, I've actually added virtual interior decorating to my resume, truly through my content creation. So I look at this house as my canvas, and I started sharing it regularly online in 2020. I started a blog, and I just wanted to share what my passion was, which was decorating my home. I grew up with a mom who decorated and redecorated our house all the time. She was an interior painter, and I find a lot of inspiration in the fact that you can just change your mind and change your space and get something new and fresh out of it. So I consider myself having three different careers: the recruiting, the interior decorating, and then also the content creation. Let me show you our dining room. Now, welcome to our dining room. It changes pretty significantly when you walk in here. It gets a lot darker, but this is just such a special space. So when we moved in, every room in the house was kind of a pale yellow. This room, however, I just envisioned color washed in green, and it turned out beautiful. But funny story, my painter very much thought it was going to be an awful idea. And pretty much everyone did. My husband was concerned, my in-laws, they said, "Are you sure you want an entire room of dark green?" And I said, just wait, guys. And it's just a dream. We did the same exact color top to bottom. So we did flat walls and ceiling with a high gloss trim, and that just made that wet plaster molding really pop. And I love the way it looks in this green tone. And then I paired them with monotone velvet curtains to give the room a bit of a royal feel, but also to just really dive into that green feeling. Everything in this room is special for some reason. I actually saw a picture of someone else's house where they had a easel with an antique piece of art, and I immediately said, I need to recreate that. And this was an estate sale find actually here on the island when we first moved in. It was a house just a couple streets over, and they had this stunning piece, and I had to have it. And something else that's actually really special is these metal boots. I got these at a store. They're about 25, maybe 30 pounds. And again, just kind of paying tribute to my Texas roots. And I love finding pieces like that. I love finding pieces that are just special and unique. You can definitely stub your toe on this thing. It's kind of a hazard, but they're beautiful, so we keep them. And these pieces of art, we actually purchased from the original owner. One of their very good friends who unfortunately had passed away sketched these. And these are all different spaces, churches here on the island. So kind of, again, paying that tribute to where we live and keeping it local if we can. Now, as far as furniture, really, again, I love mixing the new and old. This is a full West Elm set that we fell in love with. We actually had this table in our last house. It's mango wood. It feels right in here. It's good enough space for when we're hosting, but it's also, I like that it kind of adds a modern flair to this room that feels very old. You know, with the older chandelier. We have an antique curio cabinet that we also purchased from the previous owner. They had such amazing taste and such great pieces. And so we were really lucky that they were willing to pass some of those down to us. This piece is really, really special. A good friend of mine, Heather, she's an artist, and she very wonderfully gifted us this beautiful portrait of the front of our house. And it was something that this house is just so special to us. The way we found it, how we're here. I mean, I never felt more at home anywhere than I am in this house. So I wanted to make sure we had something to hold on to should we ever leave for any reason. So that is a really special piece to us. But overall, this room is just one of my favorite places to host. It's warm, it's cozy, it feels really elevated and elegant, but you feel like you can still be yourself here, which I love. And then lastly, one of my favorite pieces, this is a faux willow tree. I get so many questions about this. This is from a brand called Nearly Natural. As much as I love my real plants, not every room in this house gets great light. So I'm a big believer in faux. If you can't do real, go faux. Why not? So this tree was absolutely stunning, and they so graciously sent it to us, and it's just so perfect here. So when it's not Christmas and we don't have Christmas trees, our big willow is the star of the show. When burning candles and kind of having a scent here in our house, there's two scents that I consider pretty signature. Currently, because we're still kind of in winter, I'm still burning fir, like fir garland, because we're surrounded by all of these pine and oak and just fir trees. It feels kind of holiday still, but my signature scent is called Baltic Amber from Valespa. It is still a little holiday. It's a little sweet. It's a little vanilla, but it just is so calming. It's my absolute favorite season. I feel it's so much peace during it. So we're gonna burn the noble fir a little bit longer. So I'm gonna very carefully move this candle, and I'm gonna show you the coolest chair ever. The chair was also a Facebook Marketplace find, and it serves a couple different purposes. So I'm 5'3", pretty short, and we've got some tall cabinets in our kitchen. I discovered this chair. It's called a library ladder chair, and it was intended for you to be able to climb up and get books off of tall library bookshelves. This converts into a ladder. And so I use this in our kitchen because there's cabinets I just can't reach. And I thought, what a great way to be able to have function, form and function in one, because I didn't want one of those little ugly step stools sitting in my kitchen. And this is so incredible. It's about 90 years old. I found it from someone here on the island that was selling it. And she was so excited I knew what it was and that it was going to go to a good home. And it's such a fun conversation piece. Truly, one of the moments where you truly get form and function in one. It's so, so cool. I am a more is more type of host. I love having people in our house. I love welcoming them in and making them feel at home and feel like they're in a really elevated, elegant space, but also casual and just easy. So I actually host a once a month ladies wine night, and that is one of my favorite things. I invite all my girlfriends over. The table is full of charcuterie. Everyone brings a bottle of wine to share, so we're tasting anywhere between 8 and 10 different wines, and it's kind of an all-night event. It's so much fun. But outside of that, we love to host things like birthday parties. We'll host a holiday cocktail party, Super Bowl, really anything as an excuse to get people to our house, we will do it because we love wowing them with great food and great drinks. So this is an antique fireplace screen. It's actually a little bit too small for our fireplace, which is why it's not there, but this was my mom's and she graciously gifted it to us. She knew it would look great in our house, and so I absolutely took it. And this is a good example of kind of a unique piece of art. I love finding things that you can use to display in your home that are maybe not what it's intended to do. But for me, I mean, the brass picture here is just so stunning. It's really unique, and I love having it here. It's kind of random, but I love it. So our marble top bar cabinet here is something that was originally a contention point between my husband, because he had to drive 6 hours round trip to pick this up. Like I said, when you find something secondhand that's special, especially a deal, like I just can't say no. We got this for $100. It was when we were living in Texas, and it was 3 hours there and 3 hours there, 3 hours there and 3 hours back to pick it up. And it is just absolutely stunning. It's totally imperfect, which again is something I love about old homes and old things. They tell a story. And so this houses a lot of our bar tools, wine bottle openers, a few extra decor pieces that I don't have room for. But this is where what we use to display some of his favorite whiskeys, some antique bar glasses I found, this giant bust of David that I recently picked up about a month and a half ago. And it was just so unique and different. And I said, well, why not? You'll notice I actually have a lot of like statues and busts around the house. I just think they're such a beautiful piece of decor. Another thing that I am a big collector of is lamps. Our house doesn't get a ton of natural light, so lamp o'clock is very real here, and I will put a lamp anywhere there's an outlet. This lamp is a stunning vintage piece that I got for a steal, and I love pairing it with, again, secondhand shades. Anytime I go to a thrift store and there are lampshades, I'll usually buy them and store them in our basement for the inevitable, which is when I bring a new lamp home. I would definitely say my personal style is very much collected. I'm a firm believer in bringing things into your home that are either special to you or that you just find special in general. I love mixing new and old, so antique and modern. I am a huge vintage and antique shopper. I love an estate sale. I love a thrift store. I love an antique mall. And what I love about items like that is they come with a story. It may not be yours, but it was someone else's. And I love that you can give an item like that a second, third, or fourth life. And so when people come into my home, they can expect a lot of unique, a lot of likely old things that come with some type of story. And some of them are my story, my husband's story, and then stories of people we don't know. But I think what I love about a collected style is it also makes you feel very cozy, very at home. And that was always my goal, is that when someone walked into my house, they immediately felt warm, they felt welcomed, and there were so many things around that draw their eye that they could inquire about. And I love talking about the things I bring into my home. So when it comes to interior decorating and how me and my husband work together, we actually work together really well. I would say I take about 90% of the role here. I do a lot of the sourcing myself, the decorating, kind of the planning, things of that sort. But he has a great eye, and I ask his opinion almost always. He'll even go sourcing with me to antique shops. He's usually the muscle to drag everything out of the store and get it into the house for me, which is absolutely necessary. But I'm really thankful that he has complete faith and trust in me. There's been several times where I've made decisions and he for sure thought it was gonna come out awful. And then I did it, and he apologized later. Next, let's go check out the breakfast nook. We joke that this is kind of like our own little diner. It's right off the kitchen, and this was original to the house. So this was actually part of the original blueprint. These benches and the table are bolted to the floor. We definitely have plans long-term to maybe restain it or cover it in fabric because I want this to be really quaint and cozy. But I added the green curtains because we love green in this house, new lighting, and then to no one's surprise, more equestrian inspired art. So I have saddles behind me here, horses here, and then from there we just added some cozy features like pillows, a few flowers. This lamp is actually really special. This is another Tiffany inspired lamp, but the previous owner made this. He made it originally for his sister, got it back, and they were just not planning on keeping it. So we asked when we purchased the house if we could purchase it along with it. And that's one of those really special pieces because it's part of who they were and they were here for such a long time. So I love that we can respect that. But this is our nook. And so this is our kitchen. The kitchen was actually redone in 2015 after the house experienced a little bit of a flood. And they did a great job. They put really high quality cabinetry and counters in here. I definitely plan to put my own stamp on this. I have always had a dream of having green cabinets. It's gonna be a very green house. But one day we plan to update it ourselves. This area was really cute though. This is a little coffee bar. This is where we keep all of our specialty glasses, and this is where we start our day every morning. I actually even went as far to put special art sort of in here, and I had both my mom and my mother-in-law handwrite me and my husband's favorite recipes, and we framed them. And so that was really special. Like, again, I love adding pieces of your family members into your home, even if it's just a handwritten chicken and dumpling recipe. But as you go into the rest of the kitchen, it's a pretty good size for the house. Granite countertops. I try to add art wherever I can. So there's a giant antique painting over here that could feel out of place, but for me, it just feels just right. We actually have a lot of wildlife on the island. There are ducks and swans and Canadian geese everywhere. And there's a male and a female duck that tend to come on our property very often during the winter. My husband and I jokingly named them the Quacksteins. And so one of my friends who's an artist painted one of our Quacksteins for us. And so that's really special and fun. But we spend a lot of time in this space, specifically my husband, as he is the cook in the house. I spend a lot of time drinking wine and emotionally supporting him while he's cooking. But we're proud of it. Got a little bit of antique plates up here, and honestly, just such a beautiful bay window that looks out to our neighbor's property, but also to a few of the pine and fir trees in our property. I have definitely always loved interior decorating. I remember as a child, my mom giving me a lot of leeway of what I wanted my room to look like. At one point, it was purple and green walls with a floral border in the center and matching bedding and a matching rug. And then at one point I wanted to completely change it. And she always gave me that freedom to say, okay, my style has changed. Let's adjust your space so it feels like you. And I think that really kind of kickstarted my thought process of design and decor, and just making your space feel like you is so important. And I love being able to do that in my space. And so it's been really fun to also kind of slowly help other people do that as well. I think what can really bring a home to life is being intentional about what items you're bringing into it. So for me, what gives my house a soul is bringing in items that are special to me, special to my husband's family, to my family. Even if you're bringing in something that has no connection to you, but it gives you joy, it excites you. I think that's what really can bring a home to life. It could be a piece of art on the wall. It could be a collection of antique books. It could be a plant. I'm really big on plant life in my house as well, not only for the oxygenation, but also it feels lively in here. And so I think it's subjective. You know, one of the things that I would say bothers me about the design and decor industry is that there's so many rules. And I think those rules are meant to be broken. I think you do what makes the most sense for you in your home. And if you follow your gut and what you feel is right, your house is going to be the best space for you, and it's going to feel like you, and it's going to come alive. Now, before we go upstairs, I want to give you a quick peek into our powder room. It's one of the few places that we actually did a DIY in this house when we moved in, and then I'll show you a little bit about the hallway. Follow me. So my husband and I joke that this is our Harry Potter bathroom because it's so tiny. And when we moved in, it was a little bit lifeless. It just had gray walls. It does have the original tile floors though, so we wanted to make it a little bit bolder while also trying to keep some of the original details to it. And when I say a little bit bolder, we went very bold. I'm always inspired when I go to great hotels or restaurants or museums and they have beautiful bathrooms. And so I wanted that for us. I wanted our guests to have a space that they were just wowed when they walked into. The wallpaper here is very bold and surprise, it's green. We went with a striped, kind of striated pattern. This is from a company called Mind the Gap, which is UK based. I end up finding and loving things from the UK, and I feel like that just, again, pays homage to this home and kind of the style it was created in. So we went really bold with the wallpaper. We painted the trim and the ceiling high gloss black because we wanted it to feel moody and interesting, but somehow it still worked really well with these white and gray original tile floors. That was just something we didn't want to disturb. And so for me, it took a little bit of time to find patterns that would work well together, but they work really well. And also, we have some fun pieces of art in here. There's a piece of art of someone who we don't know who it is. I named him Francis, and I joke that he is the bathroom attendant. He creeps everybody out, and that's kind of the hilarious part of it, so he's not going anywhere. Now, I really want to show you this hallway because I don't consider myself a DIYer. I've done small projects. I'm not the gal that's going to be knocking down walls, but this is something I did myself. So these walls were, again, that kind of just soft yellow beige that the whole house was. We had them painted white, and then I stenciled this myself. I really wanted wallpaper, but all of our walls are thick, heavy plaster, and they're just not conducive to wallpaper in general. So I spent about 10 hours. I started one night at 5 p.m. and just went through the night stenciling this wall. And it was so much fun to complete that project, step back and say, I did that. But what's really special, in my opinion, is that it looks like it could have been here the entire time. It has that very vintage feel. It feels a little French country, which is, again, one of those fun things for me to just introduce different styles into our home. And so I not only added the stencil, but then I added a few pieces of art as well. So I have these really stunning antique brass candle sconces. And then this is a maple leaf of a tree that fell on our front property. So shortly after we moved in, there was a 100-year-old tree out up front. It was so beautiful. It was, again, one of those many selling points for us. And unfortunately, it fell in a storm. So after it had fallen, I went and I found the largest leaf I could, and we framed it as just a memory for what was. We do plan on replanting, which I'm very excited. That's going to happen this year. But I thought, what a special moment, and something that the previous owners could find special as well, because we actually have a really good relationship with them. Previous owners, they moved probably 5 streets away and actually pop by pretty often. So it's really special for me when I get to welcome them in the house and show them things that are memories of theirs. Now, let's go upstairs. Now this is our spare bedroom. This was a fairly recent project for me. This room was very green, lime green when we moved in. Child's lime green, to give you a visual. And I knew I wanted a space for when we had family or friends stay with us where they felt really cozy and comfortable. And so we originally painted it white, just give it a fresh slate. And then I very quickly realized I wanted something a little bit darker. And a friend of mine used this exact color in her living room, and I was so inspired. It's called Chestnut by Benjamin Moore, and it's in a matte, which you usually don't see in rooms. And it is just the most stunning and rich maroon. It's, depending on the time of day, it feels purple, it feels brown, and I just love the transition this color gives you. And so I wanted to incorporate pieces into this room that, again, that felt like they could have always been in this house. I wanted this room to feel a little bit older, very vintage. So this is just a brand new, just online metal bed that had some details to it that I felt were pretty timeless, and paired it with this just insanely stunning golden velvet bedspread. It is so luxurious and it's so fun. It's from West Elm, and I thought it paired perfectly with the color of these walls. And so we added a few special pieces, one being the portrait of our dog. Our dog's name is Kona. He's a Shiba Inu, and this is Colonel Kona. And we thought that that would just be fun and whimsical, but of course special to us. And then I added even more special pieces. So in my love of tapestries, I found this online, and the woman I purchased it from, she lived in Ohio, so just a state away, and she so graciously offered to ship it to me, and she gave me such a deal for it. It's so huge, and I feel like the colors pair perfectly with the color on the wall. And for this room, what I did is I picked the wall color first and then started adding in pieces from there. And what I love about that is that gave me my balance, my foundation for the space. We picked up an antique chest, also on Facebook Marketplace. And a good friend of mine actually went to an estate sale and snagged these lamps. And after seeing this room, she came to me and said, "These belong in here, so I'm gifting them to you," which I so appreciated. And so this room is it's special. It's different. I don't know anyone else that has a spare bedroom like this. And we added in just a few other fun details. This is a wooden duck from Josh's grandmother, and she gifted this to us. And this chair, actually, I was given this for free from the woman that sold us the chest. She had it in her garage and said, "Hey, this will look really, really good next to it if you want it." And so we took it, which was awesome. And what's really nice about this space too is even though it's the spare, it has a balcony as well. And so our guests have access to outside. If the weather is nice, they can go sit on the patio and drink their coffee. So get some sunshine and outside of the really cozy, dark, kind of almost cave-like spare bedroom. When choosing this color, I knew that it was all or nothing with a color this rich and this vibrant and just kind of breathtaking. So I wanted to completely color drench this room. So I started with the walls, then went to the trim. Shortly after, I decided the doors needed to be the same color as well. And then lastly, the ceiling, which was the worst and the hardest. But it really just made it. I think, honestly, very similar to our dining room where I did color drenched green and then paired it with matching curtains. I did the same here as well. So I found a very similar rich maroon wine colored velvet curtain. And I think it really it makes this room. It really makes it pop. And I love that everyone that walks in here legitimately says, "Wow, that feels really good for me." The word home to me really just means comfort. It means peace. I've always thought of home as your safe space, the place where you could just truly be yourself. You could let all your guards down and you had everything surrounding you that made you feel the most you. And so for me, filling a house with special items, making it in warm, soft color palettes, and just being a place where I can welcome anyone in and they get that same feeling is the best thing.
Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.